36 8 diagram arrays. 逃出情阵. Escape the array of affection. Xiefeng. September 8th, 2020. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Care. Of the 36 8 diagram arrays, the most difficult one to escape from is that of affection. Everything has affection. All beings have affection, and affection is the rainbow and the best condiment of life. If the sky is affectionate, then the weather will be favorable. If the earth is affectionate, then the grain will be abundant. If people are affectionate, then life will be auspicious and warm. If things are affectionate, then spring forest will abound. Affection is like salt in food. With too little, it will taste dull. In excess, it will be too salty. But if in moderation, then and only then, its flavor will shine. Happy lives are not unfeeling, but must not be trapped in affection. To be unfeeling is worse than to be a beast, but to be trapped in affection is worse than death. Affection can nourish people, but it can also torture them. Once people are poisoned by affection, they will become perverted. They will act like neither humans nor ghosts, but will be unreasonable, hysterical, and maybe even lose their minds eventually. Sort out your mood as you lie in bed. What is the most worrying thing in your life? What has tormented you the most recently? What is the hardest thing for you to give up? What depresses you the most? What concerns you most deeply? What do you want to maintain the most? What do you want to end the most, but are unable to? The answers are always affection. The affection between immediate family members, lovers, friends, classmates, masters and apprentices, teachers and students, comrades in arms, and so forth. Any special relationship that you establish with anyone else will entangle you and might make you worry for your whole lifetime. It will wrap you tightly within it and make you restless for your entire lifetime. This is the array of affection. Can you escape from this array? The array of affection is also the net of affection. Look at fishing nets. People cast their nets into the water, and any fish that enter it and cannot escape will be yanked out of the water and become meals on people's plates. Standing in heaven and watching the world, everyone looks like fish in nets. Those who cannot escape from their nets will become delicacies on the devil's dining table. Do you want to escape from this net of affection? It is hard to do so on your own. To do this, you must rely on the power of authority and the guidance of gods, Buddhas, celestials, and saints, especially the divine powers of Jesus Christ and Buddha Shakyamuni, and the roadmap of the guide. There is very little chance of escaping from it if you try your own way blindly. The most difficult nets to escape are the parents' and children's nets. Who can abandon parents' and children's affection, and are they not monsters if they do? Would they still be human? So, if you do not rely on the power of authority, then you cannot and you will not escape. The second most difficult net is the one of couples' affection. Now, more and more people are not marrying, which means that they can escape from the nets of couples' affection. Many people escape from nets of couples' affection by divorcing. More couples who are sticking to it want to escape but are reluctant to leave or find it hard to escape. In this case, they need the roadmap of the guide even more. The next most difficult one are the lovers' nets between boyfriends and girlfriends, which are also nets of affection that make people enjoy each other so much as to not want to leave each other and be willing to go through fire and water and hurl themselves into flames willingly. Life's joys, sorrows, bitters, and sweets are induced fully in this net of affection, like raging fires moving the earth and frightening heaven. In these nets of affection, most people are unwilling to escape. They will even risk their lives, go to hell, and fight for victory in a flash moment. Even with their heads broken and bleeding, their livers and gallbladders smashed, they will fly desperately like moths into flames. As long as there are people with whom we care about, with whom we miss, and with whom we want to maintain our relationships, we are in an array of affection. Until the day when we have nothing to care or worry about, with our minds abiding nowhere, our affection filling mountains and rivers, when we always long for the celestial islands, take things as they are, associate with others by following predestined relationships, act in accordance with our natures, and take advantage of opportunities as they arise, then we will not have escaped from our net of affection. How will you feel after escaping from your array of affection? It will feel like a frog crawling out from the bottom of a well into a pond, a wild horse stuck in silt returning to a prairie, a bird flying out of a cage into an idyllic forest, or a pig jumping out a pig pen and becoming human. The easiest, most direct, effective, and thorough way to escape from an array of affection is to become a Chanyuan celestial and live in the new oasis for life. From then on, you will no longer establish any special relationship with anyone else, especially by establishing a special love relationship with a member of the opposite sex. From then on, you will follow what is predestined, be open, leave things to fate, be free and unfettered, and enjoy life whatever it brings. When the wind blows through a clump of scattered bamboo, it makes a swishing sound, but as soon as it passes, no sound is left behind and silence reigns itself once more among the bamboo plants. When geese fly over ponds in winter, their reflections are seen on the water, but as soon as they move on, their reflections vanish. Do not be nostalgic for that illusion and do not miss the passing clouds, but fix your eyes on the celestial islands of the Elysium world. Trek and climb. Enjoy the scenery all the way. Never stay and be obsessed with any beautiful scenery. Never let anyone impede your pace forward. Everything will work itself out and you will ascend to the fairy world as it happens. 36到八卦阵晴阵 36 8 diagram arrays. The array of affection. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. What in the world is affection? That it inspires beings to vow to accompany each other in life and death. Travelers flying together from south to north, their old wings enduring the cold and heat. Joy and sorrow, parting is painful. Among them, there are even more infatuated men and women. You should have something to say. Over 10,000 miles of layered clouds, 1,000 mountains with evening snow. For whom does the lone shadow depart? Yuan Haowen, Moyuer, Goose Mound Lyrics, first verse. What is affection? The weaver girl descends to the mortal world to marry the cowherd. The white snake transforms into Lady White to marry Su Xian. Meng Jiangnu travels thousands of miles to search for her husband and weeps at the Great Wall. Du Shenyang angrily sinks a treasure chest. Romeo willingly drinks poison. Zhu Yingtai willingly jumps into a grave. The stories depicted in books are just the tip of the iceberg. For thousands of years, the world has witnessed countless tragic stories of affection, where affection is so deep, it's like a cliff of broken hearts, and longing consumes the jade-like skin. In the end, the soul is shattered at the end of the world. Secret affairs, elopements to distant lands, sacrificing one's life for affection, dueling for affection, accumulating debts for affection, committing murder for affection. All these lead to chaos, destruction of homes, and the demise of people. What's the point of such fervent affection? Brilliance fades, regrets last a lifetime. Speechless before the heavens, only hatred and shame remain. Besides romantic affection between lovers and spouses, there is also affection between father and son, mother and daughter, mother and son, siblings, confidants, friends, comrades, classmates, masters and disciples, teachers and students, hometowns, etc. These constitute the web of human affections, the sea of affections, and the array of affections. Many people live and die for affection. Once affection is lost, people feel lost and aimless, wandering souls on the verge of collapse. What exactly is affection? That people vow to each other in life and death, suffer insomnia from lovesickness, persevere through countless hardships out of deep affection, spend their entire lives without regret, risk their lives in desperation, or engage in illegal activities. Affection is a kind of non-material energy that is embedded in the non-material structure of life to maintain harmony in family, society, fairyland, and humanity. Life must have affection. Without affection, life will perish. The greatest creators have affection. Celestial beings have affection, birds and beasts have affection, trees have affection, and even demons and monsters have affection. The more abundant and richer the affection, the closer it is to heaven. The more impoverished and barren the affection, the closer it is to hell. The broader the affection, the closer it is to heaven. The narrower the affection, the closer it is to hell. Affection is a series of 8 diagram arrays, with gods having divine affection, demons having demonic affection, celestials having celestial affection, humans having human affection, monsters having monster affection, ghosts having ghostly affection, beasts having beastly affection, birds having bird affection, trees having tree affection, grass having grass affection, and flowers having flower affection. Thus, it forms the levels and steps of life, the heavenly net and the heavenly array, binding each level of life to thrive and flourish in their respective spaces, orderly and disciplined. Consciousness, structure, and energy are the three elements that constitute the universe. Nature, love, and Tao are the three great treasures of life. Nature is the characteristic of structure, love is the characteristic of energy, and Tao is the characteristic of consciousness. So, what about affection? Affection embodies all three characteristics of consciousness, structure, and energy. Affection not only has the components of consciousness and structure, but also contains the essence of energy. In other words, affection is the need of consciousness and structure, but its essence is a kind of energy, an essential non-material energy needed by consciousness and structure. Therefore, affection is closely related to nature, love, and Tao. As long as there is nature, there is affection. As long as there is love, there is affection. As long as there is Tao, there is affection. Conversely, without nature, there is no affection. Without love, there is no affection. Without Tao, there is no affection. For human life, affection is like salt. If affection is too weak, life is tasteless. If affection is too strong, life is bitter. To elevate oneself to celestial being, one must escape from the human affection array. Without escaping human affection, one cannot enter divine affection. Without entering divine affection, one cannot become a celestial being. How does one escape the human 8-diagram array? In short, abandon human affection and seek divine affection. Specifically, diminish parental affection, deepen the affection for the ancestor of Buddha, the greatest creator. Diminish the affection for siblings, friends, deepen the affection for the universe, all things in nature. Diminish the monogamous affection between men and women, deepen the predestined ethereal affection of the fairyland. Diminish the affection between master and disciple, teacher and student, deepen the affection for Tao, the truth. Theoretically, the richer and broader the affection, the more divine it is. The poorer and narrower the affection, the more human it is. In practice, the more relatives, the more divine affection. The more lovers, the more divine affection. The more beloved ones, the more divine affection. The more one loves mountains, rivers, and nature, the more divine affection. The more one cherishes all life, the more divine affection. The more one enjoys playing and having fun, the more divine affection. What is affection in the world? At this point, the answer is found. Deeply affectionate, earnestly heartfelt. Mountains, rivers, and all things are loved by me. Heaven and earth merge with affection. Yin and yang unite, and the fairyland is born. Unending affection, not obsessed with affection. My affection pervades all. When my work is done, I will be fulfilled naturally. Beautiful ideals turn into reality. 36道八卦阵轮阵 36 8-diagram arrays. The array of ethical relations. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Ethical relations refers to the relationships established between individuals based on various factors such as generation, status, seniority, gender, and degree of kinship. These relationships include those between grandparents and grandchildren, parents and children, spouses, siblings, uncles and nephews, aunts and nieces, in-laws, rulers and subjects, superiors and subordinates, leaders and followers, employers and employees, masters and disciples, teachers and students, and so on. Various roles in society, such as the president, vice president, secretary of state, prime minister, ministers, governors, mayors, county magistrates, bureau chiefs, section chiefs, town chiefs, village chiefs, and ordinary people, form a hierarchical array. Similarly, roles in a corporation like chairman, CEOs, managers, team leaders, and staff members form another array. In religious contexts, the Pope, cardinals, bishops, priests, monks, and believers form yet another array. In a family context, relationships between grandparents, parents, children, and grandchildren form an array. From these principles, we derive a network of relationships: familial relationships, relationships with nature and society, relationships among divine beings, ethical human relationships, moral norms, ethical principles, order of relationships, sequence, order, structure, generational relationships, matching relationships, party relationships, military relationships, relationship charts, quality of relationships, noble relationships, prestigious relationships, tribal relationships, material relationships, experiential relationships, quality of relationships, intimate relationships, listed relationships, peer relationships, and so on, forming a network of relationships. Ethical relations uphold the order in human society, establishing a clear hierarchy and maintaining orderliness among individuals based on mutual respect and deference. Every individual, regardless of who they are, navigates their life within this matrix of ethical relations embedded in this intricate web of interpersonal relationships. Should anyone breach these ethical relations, they will face the punitive consequences of this ethical matrix. Such transgressions may include violating norms and ethics, disrupting societal relations, disregarding moral principles, or behaving worse than beasts, resulting in a moral torment or societal condemnation. By binding individuals within these ethical relations, people are provided with guidelines to follow, preventing chaos and disorder. However, being trapped within these ethical relations, individuals become ensnared in a perpetual cycle of life and death, unable to escape the inevitable realm of existence. They are also unable to escape the confines of the territories of different qualities of life. For instance, the influence of parental relations within the ethical array is so profound that it becomes difficult for individuals to escape. Similarly, marital relations within the ethical array constitute a significant portion of one's life, meaning that half of one's happiness or misery is created by their spouse. Once interpersonal relationships are established among individuals, they inevitably come under their influence. Aspects such as consciousness, thought, emotion, spirit, lifestyle, daily routine, diet, ideology, and so on, are unable to form an independent and complete personality and self-system. They cannot achieve harmony. The entire operation of human society is constituted by the array of ethical relations. To transcend to a celestial state, to escape the confines of the realm of necessity and enter the realm of freedom, one must escape the ethical array. Buddha said, all sentient beings are equal, but within the ethical array, equality among sentient beings is difficult to achieve. The reality of life cycle of reincarnation tells us that the ethical relationships between individuals in this life differ greatly from those in past and future lives. One's grandmother from a past life may become their daughter in this life. Their wife in this life may become their mother in the next life. Their children in this life may have been enemies in a past life. And someone who helped them in this life may have been their dog in their past life. The relationships between people, what are they exactly? If we limit our understanding of relationships to the present moment, everything seems clear. But if we expand our understanding to encompass a broader span of time and space, everything becomes confusing and difficult to discern. It's quite troublesome, quite complex. It's a headache. It's better to treat everyone equally and love all sentient beings. How to escape the ethical array? Cultivate independent consciousness. Cultivate a complete personality. Follow the laws of life and existence according to the will of the ancestor of Buddha, the greatest creator. Heed the teachings of Christ Jesus, Buddha Shakyamuni, and the celestial Laozi. Establish moral guidelines for a happy, joyful, free, and blessed life. Regardless of who you are, as long as you can make me happy, joyful, free, and blessed, I'll play with you. Otherwise, I won't. Regardless of who you are, as long as you can help my life ascend to the realm of freedom and reach heaven, I'll play games with you. Otherwise, goodbye. However, one must still fulfill their responsibilities and obligations and repay their debts. 36道八卦阵喻阵 36 8 diagram arrays. The array of desire. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. The more you eat, the more you crave. The more you sleep, the lazier you become. The more you steal, The itchier your hands get, the more you gamble, the more avaricious your heart becomes. Habits become second nature, and this second nature obscures our true nature. Things always naturally develop in the direction of habitual tendencies, and in the end, we lose control, sinking deeper and deeper, making it difficult to escape. Everything can become addictive. Smoking, drinking, eating meat, using drugs, gaming, seeking pleasure, making money, fighting, holding positions of authority, frequenting bars, even using the internet. Negative emotions like jealousy, resentment, comparison, criticism, blame, lies, laziness, selfishness, greed, and arrogance can also become addictive. Once a person becomes negative and develops an unhealthy psyche, pessimism becomes the theme of their life. They may become isolated, obstinate, stubborn, rigid, and eventually suffer from depression. Why does this happen? This is due to the 8-diagram array set up to maintain a certain number of lives in each level of existence. It is called the array of desire. It is like a nose ring on a bull, leading people back and forth in the desire array, making it impossible to escape from a certain space of life. There are 8 major desires: appetite, affection, sexual, desire, desire for pleasure, material desire, desire for reputation, desire for life, desire for possession, control, and desire for excellence. These 8 desires form the desire array. Normal needs are not considered desires. Anything beyond normal needs is considered a desire. For example, constantly craving delicious food, indulging in delicacies, is called desire for food. Constantly thinking about establishing emotional relationships with someone or constantly fantasizing about sexual relationships with different people, rather than going with the flow, is desire for affection or sex. Always seeking leisure activities or indulging in comfort is desire for pleasure. Working tirelessly to earn money to buy property, land, goods, and equipment is material desire. Going to great lengths to maintain a good reputation is desire for reputation. Taking extreme measures for health, consuming supplements, practicing meditation, and living in a state of intoxicated oblivion is desire for life. Racking one's brains to control resources, people, or positions is desire for possession. Striving with every nerve, enduring hardships to stand out from the crowd, seeking magical powers or supernatural abilities to make others envious is desire for excellence. Once trapped in the desire array formed by the 8 major desires, one's life becomes one of suffering, without hope or a bright future. It's a life destined for pain, exhaustion, frequent disappointments, and without the joy, happiness, freedom, and bliss one desires. It's a life destined to float and sink in the cycle of reincarnation. How to escape the desire array? Follow the way of the greatest creator. Follow the way of nature. Regarding food, take things as they are, eat until you're full, don't deliberately pursue taste at the expense of slaughtering animals. Regarding love and sexual desire, associate with others by following naturally come-and-go relations, don't pursue it deliberately, nor avoid it deliberately. Regarding pleasure, take advantage of opportunities as they arise, avoid high-end pleasures that waste energy and money as much as possible. Regarding material pursuits, be content with what you have, prioritize simplicity and practicality, avoid extravagance and excessive possession. Regarding reputation, don't seek lasting fame or infamy, let things happen naturally, don't worry too much about people's opinions and judgments, just keep your conscience and morals intact. Regarding health and life and death, leave your life to the greatest creator's arrangement, let your life be governed by Tao. Don't deliberately focus on health, accept life and death as fate, neither craving life nor fearing death. Regarding possession and control, the more you have, the more worries you'll have, the more you control, the more mental labor you'll have. It's better to pursue the state of possessing nothing yet owning everything, to feel content no matter where you are or what you are doing. Regarding excellence, act according to your nature. Everything is born, grows, is punished, and is finally exterminated by nature. Everything is under the arrangement and running of Tao. Don't pursue excellence excessively. If you don't have a good singing voice, Trying to excel in singing will be futile. Just express your talents and personality to the fullest. Why bother pursuing excellence? Once you escape the desire array, the world will be vast and boundless. Without desire, you can fulfill desires. Without selfishness, you can fulfill selfishness. 36道八卦阵数阵 36 8-diagram array. The array of belonging. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Statements like, I am British, I belong to the Yamato people, I am a Christian, I am a member of the Nationalist Party, I work at Carrefour, I am of Asian descent, my family has 5 members, I belong to the Tiger zodiac sign, and so on express a sense of belonging for someone. Common characteristics of origin, similar distinguishing features, shared cultural traits, similar beliefs, identical pursuit of ideals, and resonant emotional features divide people into categories such as ethnic groups, nationalities, religious denominations, political parties, and social circles. People always seek a sense of belonging to something, feeling secure and grounded spiritually and psychologically. Everyone wants a home, a sense of belonging to a group. Otherwise, they feel unsettled, like lost souls adrift in the world, aimless like clouds drifting in the sky. Placing someone within a certain group, a particular circle, allows them to float within it unknowingly, forming what is called a belonging array. Nations, ethnicities, races, political parties, religions, groups, companies, homes, families, and more constitute the belonging array. Every person, whether willingly or not, is part of the belonging array. Humans inherently belong to the global citizenry. If we see the Earth as a ship drifting in the Milky Way galaxy, then regardless of who we are, we're all on the same ship and should cooperate. But due to the belonging array, people engage in conflicts, killings, and struggles, turning life into a bloody drama, disrupting the harmony of existence. Once people enter the belonging array, they become selfish. For their country, they are willing to sacrifice themselves on the battlefield. For their ethnicity, they are prepared to lay down their lives. For their religion, they are ready to embark on crusades. For their political party, they engage in verbal and physical battles. For their group, they manipulate and monopolize resources in the shadows. For their family, they crush human nature. For their home, they take risks and break laws. For their species, they mistreat and slaughter others. People always seek a sense of belonging, willingly defending the interests of their country, ethnicity, political party, religion, group, family, and home. For this reason, they always look for a circle, establish families, create networks of relationships, and form social organizations, even if it means joining beggar gangs, criminal syndicates, or theft rings, just to belong to some group. This is the belonging array. The vast majority of human beings float and sink within it throughout their lives, unable to escape this 8-diagram array. This is a game in the human world, a game that makes people oblivious to the script, maintaining and upholding the existence, value, and function of the transit station in the hierarchical space of humanity. Otherwise, if everyone awakened and became divine, the evolutionary chain of life would form a fracture, and the entire dynamic balance of the universe's life would be disrupted. Creating a sense of belonging can make people short-sighted, narrow-minded, selfish, and keep them trapped in the human world. Otherwise, if everyone were to awaken and ascend to divinity, the evolutionary levels of life would form a fault line, a fracture zone. This would disrupt the ability to implement corresponding punishments for higher-level life forms and appropriate rewards for lower-level life forms. Escaping from the bondages of the 3 realms and 5 elements. To escape the human world and enter heaven, one must escape the belonging array, or else they cannot reach heaven. How can one escape the belonging array? View oneself as a citizen of the earth, not belonging to any country, ethnicity, political party, religion, group, or family. Don't engage in the small family life program. Instead, serve the entire earth and humanity, rather than serving any one country, political party, religion, ethnicity, family, or group. In this way, our mind will expand, life will ascend, our soul will gradually perfect, and our consciousness will become pure and orderly. In this way, The frequency of our minds will resonate with the frequency of the minds of the celestial beings of the thousand-year world. Imagine the thousand-year world, which is 10 times larger than Earth, with 200 million celestial beings living there. There are no countries, political parties, religions, families, or interest groups. Everyone enjoys resources equally, without any fighting, killing, snatching, grabbing, oppression, exploitation, or conflicts. Everyone is happy, joyful, free, and blissful because there is no belonging array there. 36到八卦阵心阵 36 8-diagram arrays, the array of heart. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. The heart and the physical heart are two entirely distinct concepts. The physical heart is a part of the body's organs, existing in the physical realm. But what about the heart as a concept? What exactly is it, and where does it reside? Let's first look at 4 sets of descriptions about the heart. Deeply grieved, heartrending, tormented, utterly heartbroken, deeply distressed, mind in turmoil, heart shattered, restless, agitated, harboring ulterior motives, disheartened, mentally distracted, restless mind, lingering fear. With a light heart, heart surging like waves, heart longing for far-off places, willing and content, heart blooming like flowers, clear-minded, intuitively understanding. At peace with oneself, calm and composed, heart filled with satisfaction, open-hearted, change of heart, hearts in harmony, wholeheartedly convinced. There are also phrases like, hearts are in tune. The size of the universe is determined by the breadth of one's heart. You gallop across the sea of my heart. From the above descriptions of the heart, it appears that people are the heart, and the heart is the person. When the heart is like dead ashes, the person also loses vitality and is no different from death. Nothing is more lamentable than a dead heart. When the heart dies, so does the person. What exactly is the heart? Where does it reside? What role does the heart play in human life? In essence, the heart does not exist. Humans fundamentally do not possess a heart. The heart is merely an 8-diagram array. People are entangled in the 8-diagram of the heart and thought that they have a heart, unaware that they are being bound by this heart array. Buddha Shakyamuni, who possessed supreme authentic wisdom, told us, the past mind cannot be grasped, the present mind cannot be grasped, and the future mind cannot be grasped. The mind is fundamentally non-existent. Where can it be obtained? People are often beguiled by their hearts, oscillating between states of heartbreak and heart blossoming, between heart in turmoil and calm heart, between bewildered heart and clear-minded heart, between heart like dead ashes and refreshed heart. They find themselves completely played by the whims of their hearts. In spiritual practice, there is the saying of the mind is influenced by circumstances for ordinary people and the mind influences circumstances for enlightened beings. In reality, the mind influencing circumstances is passive, futile, and inconclusive. Circumstances are endlessly changing, rising and falling in succession. Relying on the mind is never reliable. The heart is inherently empty, inherently non-existent, so how can it be relied upon? Once trapped in the heart's 8-diagram array, a person's life becomes bewildered, guided by the heart in search of sincerity, loyalty, honesty, and dedication, while guarding against deception, treachery, greed, and fickleness. The result is confusion, suffering, heart turmoil, and physical and mental exhaustion. In romantic relationships, the biggest fear is fickleness, and the pursuit is a complete heart. Once one discovers the other's fickleness, neither food nor sleep brings comfort. From this, jealousy, resentment, anger, and competition swarm in, stirring life into a whirlwind of chaos and conflict, causing unbearable heartache. The heart belongs to the person. If a person is without a heart, they become a celestial being or a Buddha. The heart is an 8-diagram array. By escaping from the 8-diagram array of the heart, one can escape from all the joys and sorrows, the comings and goings of human life, and enter into a beautiful and boundless paradise. How can one escape the heart array? The Buddha Shakyamuni taught us, one should produce a mind that abides nowhere and does not abide in forms to produce a mind, does not abide in sounds, smells, tastes, touch, or dharmas to produce a mind, and should produce a mind that abides nowhere. In other words, discard the heart and become a person without a heart. The Saint Laozi told us, favor and disgrace would seem equally to be feared, honor and great calamity to be regarded as personal conditions of the same kind. What makes me liable to great calamity is my having the body, which I call myself. If I had not the body, what great calamity could come to me? This can also be extended to the heart. Heartbreak and heartache occur because we have a heart. If we have no heart, where does the heartbreak and heartache come from? Can one still live without a heart? Yes, it depends on the power of our thinking. If our thinking power is high, we live. If our thinking power is low, we die. Prime Minister Baigon in the Investiture of the Gods was originally living well, but was suddenly controlled by the words, "Cabbages have no heart but can live. People without a heart must die," from Su Daji, and immediately died from shock. Without a heart, how does one live? By living out one's nature. The Buddha is the nature, and the nature is the Buddha. Living out one's nature is living as a Buddha, living as celestial, being completely free. 36到八卦阵指阵 36 8 diagram arrays, the array of intelligence. Xiefeng. All conditioned phenomena are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, and a shadow, like dew or a flash of lightning. Thus, we shall perceive them. Diamond Sutra. All conditioned phenomena originate from the wise. The actions of the wise throughout their lives resemble dreams and illusions. When humans think, the greatest creator laughs. Thinking is the characteristic of the wise, and the greatest creator laughs upon observing the wise. When the Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara was practicing the profound Prajnaparamita, he illuminated the 5 skandhas and saw that they are all empty, and he crossed beyond all suffering and difficulty. Shariputra, form does not differ from emptiness. Emptiness does not differ from form. Form itself is emptiness. Emptiness itself is form. So too are feeling, cognition, formation, and consciousness. Shariputra, all dharmas are empty of characteristics. They are not produced, not destroyed, not defiled, not pure, and they neither increase nor diminish. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, feeling, cognition, formation, or consciousness. No eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, or mind. No sights, sounds, smells, tastes, objects of touch, or dharmas. No field of the eyes up to and including no field of mind consciousness, and no ignorance or ending of ignorance, up to and including no old age and death or ending of old age and death. There is no suffering, no accumulating, no extinction, and no way, and no understanding and no attaining. Because nothing is attained, the Bodhisattva, through reliance on Prajnaparamita, has no obstruction in his mind. Because there is no obstruction, he is not afraid, and he leaves distorted dream thinking far behind. Ultimately, nirvana. The heart of Prajnaparamita Sutra. Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva possesses no wisdom, no obstruction, no fear, no inverted dreams. He merely preserves emptiness and purity, acting according to his nature, handling naturally come-and-go relations with no resistance, taking advantage of opportunities that arise and does not engage in activities or stir up troubles. Wisdom is not different from foolishness, and foolishness is not different from wisdom. Wisdom is foolishness, and foolishness is wisdom. From the perspective of humans, the wise are clever individuals, but from the heavenly perspective, the wise are complete fools. Therefore, the Tao Te Ching says, great wisdom appears like foolishness. Life is a play. To make the plot of the drama exciting and fascinating, there must be wise people. Wise people are like circus clowns, interspersing laughter among the audience. Otherwise, the drama would be too dull and boring. In the world, the wise are likened to flowers, but not fruits. Flowers are charming, beautiful, colorful, and admirable. Therefore, everyone wants to be wise. However, The desire to become wise forms one of the 36 8-diagrams arrays, the array of intelligence, leading people into the 8-diagram array of seeking wisdom, making it difficult for them to escape. Consider the lilies how they grow. They toil not, they spin not. And yet I say unto you, that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. If then God so clothe the grass, which is today in the field, and tomorrow is cast into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O ye of little faith? And seek not ye what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, neither be ye of doubtful mind. For all these things do the nations of the world seek after, and your Father knoweth that ye have need of these things. But rather seek ye the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Luke 12 verses 27 to 31, the Holy Bible. What did Jesus Christ teach us? He taught us to constantly follow the path of the greatest Creator, to adhere to the way of nature, to learn from the lilies of the field, not to worry about anything, not to be concerned about food, clothing, shelter, transportation, aging, sickness, and death, not to seek wisdom, but to maintain the nature of Tathagata, to maintain the simplicity of human nature. In this way, one can enter the kingdom of the greatest Creator and enjoy the pleasures and eternity of life. The array of intelligence aims to make people clever, different from others, possessing more wealth, fame, status, knowledge, and wisdom than others, making people look up to them, envy them, and be jealous of them. But all of this is nothing but a dream. Everything is a game. Only life is real. Seeking wisdom and abandoning the simple nature like a lily is reversing the priority and having distorted dreams. Once ensnared in the array of intelligence, one inevitably becomes engrossed in the pursuit of wealth and honor and is consumed by worries of poverty and humility. One becomes incessantly occupied with learning, researching, and exercising the mind, inevitably becoming proficient in gong, magic, and techniques. One inevitably becomes adept at strategizing and scheming, inevitably engaging in cunning and deceitful tactics with others. In the end, the result is that cleverness often outsmarts itself, and all conditioned phenomena are like dreams, illusions. How does one escape the array of intelligence? Celestial Laozi tells us, abandon sagacity, discard wisdom. Return to the origin and restore the simplicity. Return to the infant. Follow the teachings of Jesus Christ. Become like little children. Maintain the simplicity of human nature like the lilies, where great wisdom appears as foolishness, and follow the path of the greatest Creator, the natural way. 36到八卦阵时间阵 36 8 diagrams of time, the array of time. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. Does time truly exist? What exactly is time? Why do things undergo the cycle of formation, existence, decay, and emptiness? Why do humans experience birth, aging, sickness, and death? Is everything an illusion, or does it truly exist? First, let's examine the prophecies and their fulfillment in the Bible. I will scatter you among the nations. Leviticus 26 verse 33. The Jews will be persecuted among the nations. Leviticus 26 verses 38 to 39. I will gather you from the nations and bring you back to your own land. Ezekiel 36 verse 24. These prophecies were made over 2,000 years ago. When we look back at the history of the Jewish people, we find that they lost their homeland and were scattered among the nations. Later, whether it was in Cyprus, Egypt, Germany, France, England, or in Spain, Czech Republic, Lithuania, Poland, and other nations, the Jews suffered brutal persecution. The persecution suffered by the Jews during World War II was even more severe. Before 1948, Jews gathered from various nations to the Palestinian territories and officially established the State of Israel in May 1948, fulfilling the above prophecies. Next, let's look at the prophecies made by the French physician Nostradamus in the centuries over 400 years ago. The Century 3, Quatrain 92. The world near the last period, Saturn will come back again late. Empire transferred towards the dusky nation, the eye plucked out by the goshawk at Narbonne. The Century 6, Quatrain 10. In a short time, The temples with colors of white and black of the two intermixed. Red and yellow ones will carry off theirs from them: blood, land, plague, famine, fire extinguished by water. This prophecy is being fulfilled. First, empire transferred towards the dusky nation was fulfilled when the African-American Barack Obama became president of the United States. Of white and black of the two intermixed was fulfilled when President Obama, a black man, and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, a white woman, intermixed. In this situation, other races cannot maintain their characteristics and positions. For example, the recent military exercises between South Korea, Japan, and the United States, Obama's pledge to lead Asia at the ASEAN summit, and since the beginning of this year, blood, plague, famine, fire, and floods have occurred everywhere. Let's look at the ancient Chinese prophecy, the inscription of the Jinling Pagoda. Jinling Pagoda, Liu Ji built it. Chiang Kai-shek demolished it. With the pagoda gone, the army and the people will slaughter each other. The Jinling Pagoda, located on the outskirts of Nanjing, was constructed by Liu Bowen, also known as Liu Ji, a military strategist from the Ming Dynasty, approximately 600 years ago. In 1918, when the Nationalist Army seized control of Nanjing, there were strange noises emanating from the pagoda. As a result, Chiang Kai-shek ordered its demolition. During the demolition process, the inscription of the Jinling Pagoda was uncovered, thereby fulfilling the prophecy, Liu Ji built it. Chiang Kai-shek demolished it. This prophecy, made 600 years ago, foretold that Chiang Kai-shek would be the one to demolish the Jinling Pagoda. There are also prophecies such as Liu Bowen's Song of Xiaobing, Baked Cake and Griddle, Xiao Yong's Poem of Plum Blossom, Li Chunfeng and Yuan Tiangong's Pushing Back, Zhuge Liang's Lesson Before Horse, Jiang Taigong's Song of Heaven and Earth for Thousands of Years, Master Bu Su's Prophecy Poem, Poem of Zen Master Huang Tiller, Li Chuanfeng's Hidden Head Poem, and so on, most of which have been fulfilled. Especially noteworthy is the prophecy poem of Master Bu Su, which mentions iron birds soaring in the sky, the southeast completely destroyed. Bu Su was a great general in the Sui dynasty, over 1,000 years ago. There were no airplanes in his era, yet he saw airplanes and called them iron birds, showing how accurate his prophecy was. Hundreds of years ago, over 1,000 years ago, over 2,000 years ago, being able to accurately predict the future state. What do these facts illustrate? They illustrate that time does not exist. Time is just an illusion for humans. Or rather, time is just a recorder of material movement states, and time itself does not play any role in the development and change of things. How to understand? Everything has already been arranged. Even the names of people have been arranged. For example, Chiang Kai-shek. The inscription of the Jinling Pagoda already knew 600 years ago that someone named Chiang Kai-shek would demolish the Jinling Pagoda. What does this mean? It means that the entire universe, the entire development and change of humanity has already been written as a script. The locations, characters, events, and plots are all written in the script. Everything is unfolding according to the script. Even every person's experiences of birth, aging, sickness and death, joys and sorrows, separations and reunions, all within the fixed number, all within the program, all within the prearranged plot. If you still don't understand, please find a long novel. Flip to page 81 and see what the plot is on that page. Suppose that page is your present. Then, if you randomly flip to any page before or after, you will find that everything about you has already been arranged in the novel, and everything is being performed according to the plot of the novel. The entire history of mankind is also like this. If it were not prearranged, then no prophecy would be accurate, and no great prophet would be able to predict what would happen the next day, let alone predict the situation decades, hundreds, or thousands of years later. Time does not exist. Anyone can go back to their past or run to their future, just like flipping through a long novel at will. If you want to flip to a certain page, you can flip to that page. Those who can do this have opened the Buddha's eye and are Buddhas. Those who cannot do this have not yet opened the Buddha's eye and have not yet become Buddhas. In fact, whether one is a Buddha or not has already been arranged. It's just that one is lost in the array of time and cannot experience the state of Buddha. I have already analyzed that in the universe, except for one accident, the rest are all inevitable. That is to say, the current situation of each of us has already been arranged in the script, and how it will be in the future must also be performed according to the plot of the script, and we cannot help ourselves. To put it further, every person we meet, every event we encounter, the joys and sorrows, separations and reunions of our lives, how our eating, clothing, housing, and transportation, birth, aging, sickness, and death occur, how they change and how they end, are all arranged in the program. In fact, we are powerless and can only face it. Therefore, a contradiction arises. Since everything is predetermined, scripted, and programmed, an individual powerlessness, then what's the point of cultivation, accumulating merits to repay karmic debts and accumulate treasures in the kingdom of heaven, or building one's own spiritual garden before 2013, etc.? Xiefeng's guidance is also unnecessary, and the Chanyuan value is contradictory. It is contradictory indeed, but also not contradictory at all. Because I have already said, everything is a game, only life is real. We should take things as they are, associate with others by following natural come-and-go relations, act in accordance with one's intrinsic nature, and take advantage of opportunities as they arise. Dharma sets no rules, it is ever-changing. Form has no set shape, non-form is form, and there are mysteries within mysteries, and there are exceptions to the rules. More importantly, we must act according to the script. Once one achieves enlightenment and becomes a Buddha, or ascends to become a celestial being, time ceases to exist. Prior to reaching such a state, every individual is caught within the time array. We often find ourselves reminiscing about the past and anticipating the future. We frequently experience joy or distress about our current circumstances, and we feel either calm or anxious, content or fearful. We often worry and feel anxious about the wrinkles forming on our foreheads and the gradual sagging of our skin as we age. The concepts of past, present, and future, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, past life, present life, and next life, youth, adulthood, and old age, all these are part of the time array. We are all trapped within this time array, unable to extricate ourselves or transcend it. We often lament the swift passage of time, the loss of our youth, and find ourselves racing against the clock, working around the clock. We frequently regret the past and feel melancholic about the future. All these are the results of being caught in the time array. Time is illusory, a misconception of the mind. Like capturing our youth and vitality on a DVD, if we keep it safe, no matter how many thousands of years later we play it back, we will still be in our prime. Our current situation is similar to playing a DVD, but we are unable to do so ourselves. Why can't we look back on our past and future? Because we are confined within the time array. We are actors, not playwrights or directors. Only by escaping the time array can we be free from its constraints and enter the eternal kingdom of freedom to fully enjoy the pleasures of life. How to escape the time array? Anyone who wants to escape from the program, to escape from the plot, is impossible. Otherwise, people would enter the time tunnel to kill their own mothers and escape the script directly to the Pure Land, or the Celestial Islands continent. However, you can step out of yourself and transcend yourself to observe yourself. Make a DVD for yourself, then play it on the TV or computer and watch yourself. How does it feel? Preset yourself in the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, the Elysium Celestial Islands continent, and then watch yourself in the world as if watching a movie. This is the wonderful method of escaping the time array. Once you escape the time array and observe yourself, at that moment, all aspects of life resemble acting in a play. Whether you're playing the role of a great person or a commoner, whether you're portraying a wealthy individual or a beggar, whether you're acting as a tour guide or a Chanyuan celestial, whether you're playing the role of an aggressor or a victim, whether you're portraying a young person or an old person, it's all the same. It's all just a game, just acting. There's nothing to be distressed, worried, resentful, anxious, fearful, or afraid of. Even if the character in the script dies, it doesn't matter, because we still exist. Want to stay forever young? You can. Want to grow old forever? You can. Want to be in love and enter the bridal chamber every day? You can. The key is to distinguish between yourself in the plot and your true self. The self in the plot is the one who is currently watching the time array of the 36 8-diagram arrays. The true self is the one described in the Heart Sutra, the one in the Celestial Islands continent, the Buddha, the nature, the celestial being. Can't break free? Don't worry, breaking free from the time array is a matter of thinking. Please continue along the tour guide route map, and one day you will see the light and understand everything. Yay! 36到八卦阵思维阵 36 8-diagram array. The array of thinking. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Can 1 plus 1 equal 0, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? This is a matter of thinking, or rather, a matter of cognitive ability. What is the relationship between an elephant and a stone? In the usual sense, there isn't much of a relationship between an elephant and a stone. However, in the well-known story, Chao Chong weighs an elephant. Cao Cao's 7-year-old son established a corresponding relationship between an elephant's weight and a stone using a boat as a medium, easily solving the problem of the elephant's weight. This is thinking. The method by which the ancient Greek philosopher, mathematician, and physicist Archimedes determined whether a crown was counterfeit is also a good example of understanding and exploring thinking. How can an ant freely climb from one surface to the other side of the same surface without going through a hole or climbing over an edge? Conventional thinking cannot find a solution. Only unconventional thinking with a Mobius strip can achieve this. The level of a person's intelligence is mainly reflected in their ability to think. It can be said that with stronger thinking ability comes a higher level of life. With weaker thinking ability comes a lower level of life. The stronger the thinking ability, the closer it is to a higher level of life. The weaker the thinking ability, the closer it is to a lower level of life. Clearly, the thinking ability of plants is lower than that of animals. The thinking ability of animals is lower than that of humans. The thinking ability of humans is lower than that of celestials and Buddhas. The thinking ability of celestials and Buddhas is lower than that of gods, and the thinking ability of gods is lower than that of the greatest creator. Therefore, I summarize thinking ability into 8 levels: material thinking, image thinking, associative thinking, elusive thinking, visualized thinking, Tai Chi thinking, formless thinking, and holographic thinking, with each level higher than the last. So, what is thinking? Thinking is the dimension and process of thought, pondering, and contemplation. The broader and deeper the dimension of thought, the stronger the ability to analyze, summarize, synthesize, reason, judge, infer, and find solutions to problems. Thinking is related to dimensionality. The thinking of a caterpillar is limited to the two-dimensional world, so its thinking ability is low. The thinking of plants is limited to the static three-dimensional world, so their thinking ability is lower than that of animals whose thinking is limited to the dynamic three-dimensional world. Birds live in four-dimensional space-time, so they are freer than land animals. Humans exist in the three-dimensional world, but because of their rich imagination, they can extend sensory knowledge into the realm of reason, so their thinking ability is stronger than that of birds. Celestials live in a world of 4 dimensions or more, so they are higher life forms than humans. Buddhas and gods traverse the 36-dimensional spaces, and their thinking ability is unimaginable. The greatest creator lives in holography, and his thinking ability is beyond imagination. It is inscrutable. When thinking ability is low, one can appear very foolish and stupid. When humans observe animals, they often perceive them as incredibly stupid. Similarly, when celestials observe humans, they also find them to be incredibly foolish. For instance, humans have been struggling within the confines of the institution of marriage and family for thousands of years. Why not change their way of life? Humans can indeed seem incredibly stupid. Human suffering and distress stem from consciousness, with thinking being a primary component of consciousness. To alleviate the suffering and distress rooted in consciousness, one must diligently work on their thinking. This involves transforming the way we think, expanding the scope of our thinking, and breaking free from the constraints of conventional thinking to think creatively. Otherwise, suffering and distress will persist endlessly. Confining all levels, types, and layers of life within certain dimensions, such that their thinking cannot transcend the space-time of their existence, thereby presenting the wonderful diversity and maintaining the orderly hierarchy of life, is what constitutes the array of thinking. In order to elevate the quality of life, to venture into higher dimensional spaces of life and live freely, it is essential to break free from the constraints of original thinking, not to adhere rigidly to established rules, and to understand that nothing is impossible. There are only things that are beyond imagination and beyond the reach of one's thinking ability. The miracles presented by Jesus are beyond our imagination, beyond our ability of thinking. This is the difference in thinking between humans and gods. The super-celestial beings of the Elysium Celestial Islands continent are capable of performing 64 kinds of divine abilities and can transform all things at will. This is something that we, with our limited thinking abilities, cannot fully comprehend. So, how does one break free from the array of thinking? The answer is that it's impossible to completely escape the array of thinking. The only solution is to elevate our lower-level thinking to a higher level. As humans, if we think, ponder, and contemplate with the thinking of celestials, discard our human thinking, then we can escape the thinking array granted to human and enter the world of celestials. Then the pain and troubles associated with being human will disappear. The following 8 points can help people escape from the array of thinking for human and enter the thinking realm of celestial and Buddha. Thoroughly understand the principles and reincarnation mysteries of life, and realize that life is not extinguished, only transformed, so do not fear death. Instead, consider it the greatest good. Escape from the time array, find the true self, and view the self who acts as an actor in the script as a play, a dream. Frequently let consciousness enter the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, the Elysium Celestial Islands continent, imitating and emulating the way of life and thinking of celestials. Strengthen visualized thinking, frequently and freely imagining beautiful things, scenes, and people. Escape from the heart array, desire array, affection array, ethical relation array, belonging array, and wisdom array, live by one's nature. Do not take one's kind as the reference object. Do not always consider oneself as human in consciousness. Do not believe there are no solutions to difficult problems. Do not think in terms of conventional thinking when considering problems. Do not be afraid to think freely as bound by traditional moral preaching and scientific knowledge. Do not be influenced and restricted by one's appearance, gender, race, physique, culture, environment, etc., and dare not enter the micro and macro worlds. Do not think that without wings one cannot fly. Do not think that without eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body, one cannot eat, drink, excrete, sleep. Fully understand and comprehend that all phenomena are illusory. Emptiness is not different from form, and form is not different from emptiness. Consciousness creates reality, and time and space cannot block consciousness. Act according to one's nature. Here, nature refers to the nature of the Tathagata. 36到八卦阵空间阵 36 8 diagram arrays, the array of space. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. The position and range of movement of material and non-material are referred to as space. Space is divided into positive and negative aspects. The space composed of material is called positive space, and the space composed of non-material is called negative space. When material disappears, positive space also disappears. When non-material disappears, negative space also disappears. Therefore, the universe does not have a fixed size. Its size changes depending on the existence and state of material and non-material. There are 36 dimensional spaces in the universe, and different spaces correspond to different forms and connotations of life. To maintain the symmetrical balance of various levels of life space in the universe, the greatest creator has established a space array, which places each life in a certain space to complete the process of growth and decline in order to maintain the overall symmetrical balance of life in the entire universe. The space array is as follows. First, macroscopically divide space into material space and non-material space. Material space includes the Earth space, human world, where human society is located, the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and so on. Non-material space includes human dreams, the Pure Land, and the Celestial Islands continent. They are separated as yin, non-material, and yang, material, mutually unaware of each other. Then, according to the different non-material structures of each life, they are arranged in specific spaces in more than 30-dimensional spaces, making it impossible for them to exceed their own space. Finally, each life's senses and thoughts are restricted to a certain level, making them unable to see or be aware of the existence of other spaces, in order to maintain the order of various levels of life space and keep the sum of positive and negative energy in the universe equal to zero. In order to maintain the existence of the human world with both high and low-level life, when setting up human life, their auditory range is limited to between 20 and 20,000 hertz, and their visual range is limited to between 400 and 700 nanometers, so that humans cannot hear or see activities in other life spaces and can feel at ease in the human world. At the same time, human thinking is limited to the range of material, imagery, association, and illusion, making humans unaware that there are other life spaces outside the human world. Space is a kind of limitation. The larger the space for survival, the greater the freedom of life. Prisoners are confined to a few square meters of space. Pigs are confined to pigsties, fish are confined to water, earthworms are confined to soil, eagles are confined to cliffs and the sky, tigers and leopards are confined to mountains and jungles, plants are confined to land, and humans are confined to home, family, country. This is the space array. The space of every life is limited. There are not many lives with unlimited space. Even the life with the greatest freedom in the universe, super celestial beings, is limited to the celestial islands continent. Only the space of deity celestial beings is unrestricted, but when deity celestial beings enter a certain space, they must abide by the restrictions of that space, making it difficult to achieve a high degree of freedom. Compared to humans, chickens, ducks, pigs, sheep, cows, and horses are pitiful because their space is limited relative to humans. Compared to celestials, humans are pitiful because the space they can move in during their lifetime is very limited and difficult to compare with the space where celestials can move. To become a higher level life, humans must escape the activity space that restricts them, just as pigs must escape from the pigsty to become humans. How to escape the space array? First of all, it's a matter of consciousness and thinking. If consciousness remains unchanged and thinking does not change, one can never escape the space array. Escape in form is not the ultimate escape. For example, if a pig escapes from a pigsty but does not possess human consciousness and thinking, then even if it escapes, it either cannot survive or will return to the pigsty. To escape from the human space array, first, one must resolve not to be human. If one wants to continue being human, no matter how much they struggle or travel around the world, they will still be unable to escape the palm of the Tathagata Buddha or escape the human world. Jumping out of the three realms and not in the five elements means being unable to escape the three realms and thus being unable to escape the bondage of the five elements. The specific steps should be as follows. First, one must understand life spaces that are better and of higher levels than the human world, such as the thousand-year world. Then, learn and imitate the lifestyle of celestial beings in the thousand-year world. Replace one's existing consciousness with the consciousness of celestial beings, and think in the way celestial beings think. Then, gradually break free from the thinking patterns of families, political parties, religions, and countries. Strive to live like celestial beings, and finally, give up all possessions acquired in the human world. Repay all debts owed in the human world. Accumulate some capital to enter higher-level life spaces and escape from the human world directly to paradise, such as the thousand-year world. 36道八卦阵结构阵 36 8 diagram arrays. The array of structure. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. Everything has a structure, which is the determining factor for the shape and properties of things. The shape and properties of all things, whether it's a mountain, a building, a pencil, a molecule, an atom, a basic particle, a plant, a flower, an insect, a person, a dog, or a fish, are determined by their structures. Without structure, there would be no existence. The distinguishing feature of one thing from another lies in the difference in structure. People look different from each other because their structures differ. The diversity and wonders of the world result from the differences and variations in structures. The taste of sweetness, sourness, bitterness, saltiness, and spiciness is determined by the structure of food. The colors red, orange, yellow, green, indigo, blue, and purple are determined by the structure of colors. The sense of fragrance, stench, pungent, muttony, and fishiness are determined by the structure of odors. Anything perceived by touch is determined by its structure. Without structure, there would be no universe, no life, and no everything. The characteristics of things and the nature of life are determined by structure. Mountains have mountain nature, water has water nature, people have human nature, and animals have animal nature. Everything has its own nature, determined by structure. Some flowers emit fragrance, while others do not. Peach trees bear peaches, pear trees bear pears, but willow trees do not bear fruit. All of this is due to structure. Countless structures of astronomical proportions constitute the universe and this vibrant world. Every entity follows its own kind, each displaying its unique brilliance. All things fulfill their roles and exhibit their talents in an orderly fashion, without any chaos. This forms the intricate structure array. To change the nature of things, one must first change their structure. If the structure of a thing remains unchanged, its nature will not change. Computers are updated rapidly, mainly due to changes in their structures. As a life form, for example, a dog that wishes to cease being a dog and become a human must change its own structure from that of a dog to that of a human. As a human, if one wishes to cease being human and become a celestial being, one must change the human structure to that of a celestial being. All things and life forms are confined to a certain spatial environment by their structures. Humans live in the human world and cannot live in the celestial world. This is the restraint and restriction of the structure array. If one wants to escape from the human world and enter the celestial world to live, one must escape from the structure array. A person living in a marriage and family will inevitably be entangled in the troubles and affairs of marriage and family, making it difficult to break free. To escape from the suffering of being human, one must step out of marriage and family. If you do not step out of family life, do not expect to be free from the troubles and worries brought about by marriage and family. A person living in the human world is inevitably constrained and bound by the structure array of the human world. They must spend their entire life bustling about for food, clothing, shelter, and transportation. Without escaping from the human world, one cannot expect to live leisurely. To live freely and leisurely, one must break free from the constraints of the structure array of the human world. To jump out of the three realms and not be bound by the five elements. To escape from the structure array of humans and enter the structure array of celestial beings is another way of life. So, how does one escape from the structure array? It's simple. Just change the non-material structure of human life to that of celestial life. How to replace human life structure with celestial life structure? The answer is, format human consciousness and reinstall celestial consciousness. As long as consciousness changes, the non-material structure of life will change. Which aspects of human consciousness need to be changed, and which aspects need to be replaced with celestial consciousness? Nationalism, religion, political party, ethnicity, marriage, and family consciousness are human consciousness. Jealousy, resentment, anger, selfishness, greed, laziness, competition, antagonism, and possession are all human consciousness. The pursuit of fame, profit, status, merit, ancestral glory, eternal fame, longevity, wealth, magical powers, and special abilities are all human consciousness. Fear, worry, anxiety, and scariness are human consciousness. Emotional and life dependence on external factors is human consciousness. Wanting to change nature is human consciousness. Embracing things as they are, associating with others by following naturally come-and-go relations, acting in accordance with our natures, seizing opportunities as they arise, walking in accordance with the laws of nature, feeling content no matter where we are or what we are doing, following our own nature and being unrestrained, following our destiny and being carefree. These are all expressions of celestial consciousness. Enjoying life, playing, and entertaining oneself are also manifestations of celestial consciousness. surrendering life to the greatest creator and allowing the process of life to be arranged by Tao. This too is celestial consciousness. To fully understand celestial consciousness, one must understand the lifestyle and mindset of the celestials living in the celestial worlds. For example, understanding the lifestyle and mindset of the celestials in the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the celestial islands continent, and learning from them, imitating them, and embodying them bit by bit. Once human consciousness is replaced by celestial consciousness, one will escape from the structure array set up for humans and can go to the celestial world to enjoy the life of celestials. 36到八卦阵命阵 36 8 diagram arrays, the array of fate. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. When a person is born into this world, known as the human world, it seems as though everything has already been arranged, with little room for personal choice. Factors such as one's parents, birth date and time, family environment, era of birth, gender, appearance, talents, temperament, race, region, siblings, and more are predetermined. Throughout life, the type of education one receives, the profession one pursues, the people one encounters, the life's twists and turns, whether one falls ill and what illnesses one suffers from, how much wealth one accumulates, what level of fame and status one achieves, how much suffering and joy one experiences. All these seem predetermined. In youth, one might believe that they can determine these things through their own efforts. However, as one grows older, they may realize that many things seem to have been predestined, and they are simply drifting along with the current of fate. Even one's aging, death, and the manner of death seem beyond one's control, not to mention what happens after death. This is the essence of the fate array. The fate array represents the predetermined aspects of one's life, the karmic arrangements made by the Tao based on each person's past life genetic information, a one-time comprehensive assessment of one's past merits and misdeeds. Things in this life that one cannot choose or control are the karmic results of one's past deeds, that is, the cause of the past life and the fruit of this life. From the moment of birth, individuals are ensnared in the web of the fate array. No matter how hard one strives or struggles, it's difficult to escape their influence. Want to choose different parents? Alter your gender, birth time, or location? Change your inherent nature? It's simply impossible. All choices are off the table. Of all the arrays within the 36 8 diagram arrays, the fate array is the most intricate and the most challenging to break free from, as it dictates much of one's life from the moment of birth, making it absolutely impossible to change. In the face of the fate array, all we can do is accept and bear our fate. Any resentment or resistance is futile, only serving to breed further anguish and sorrow. Accept your fate. With this life's fate array already set, individuals can only strive to influence their next life's fate array. Each person's fate array is unique and is entirely determined by their own spiritual cultivation. The fate array for one's next life is entirely within one's own control and choice. However, if one continues to live in a state of confusion, the fate array for the next life will likely not differ significantly from the current one, leading to yet another cycle of reincarnation. If one remains in a state of perpetual confusion, the cycle of reincarnation will continue indefinitely. Understanding the fate array and its roots, awakening to their implications is crucial. Without such awareness, individuals risk squandering their precious lives. Once on the wrong path, escaping the ensuing cycle of suffering and sorrow will require considerable effort. How does one break free from the current life's sorrowful fate array and enter a joyful one in the next life? This is a monumental task, involving macroscopic elements such as faith, beliefs, morality, ideals, values, outlook on life and life, worldview, as well as microscopic elements such as every word, action, thought, and intention. There are no shortcuts, no strokes of luck, only a solid, incremental approach. From the perspective of Life-Genuine values, it involves transcending the human fate array and entering the celestial one. Specifically, it means revering the greatest creator, revering life, revering nature, following the path of the greatest creator, adhering to and upholding the 800 values for New Era Human, repaying all your debts from all your past lives and accumulating treasures in heaven by creating the Life-Genuine era for humanity. Simultaneously, it entails gradually disengaging from human society and entering the realm of celestial, fundamentally transforming one's values, outlook on life and life, worldview, and continuously replacing human consciousness with celestial consciousness. The foundation for all of this lies in building one's soul garden, removing the weeds of passive, negative, and pessimistic emotions such as jealousy, resentment, comparison, anger, hatred, condemnation, laziness, selfishness, greed, arrogance, hostility, infatuation, attachment, rigidity, stubbornness, cruelty, and fostering the growth of active, positive, and optimistic qualities such as truth, goodness, beauty, love, faith, sincerity, tranquility, and harmony. The simpler something appears, the more complex it is, and vice versa. While the origins of Theta Ray and the endeavor to break free from their constraints are exceedingly complex when analyzed theoretically, the path forward can be distilled into a single concept. Follow the way of the greatest creator. 36道八卦阵引力阵 36 8-diagram arrays. The array of gravitation. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. Everything in the universe is bound, or rather, protected by gravity. Without gravity, there would be no world, no universe, and no myriad phenomena, including all life forms. Gravity both confines and protects everything, including life. There are two types of gravity: material gravity and non-material gravity. The attraction between material entities is called material gravity, while the attraction between non-material entities is called non-material gravity. The strength of material gravity between objects is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. The strength of non-material gravity between entities is directly proportional to the debts they owe each other and inversely proportional to the favors they have done for each other. When gravity confines and protects material or non-material entities within a certain space-time, preventing their escape, it is referred to as a gravitation array. Humans are simultaneously bound by material and non-material gravity, which prevents them from escaping the cycle of reincarnation in the human world. Material gravity primarily confines humans to Earth, their physical vessel, while non-material gravity restrains humans through their indebtedness to nature, other life forms, and other individuals. To break free from the cycle of reincarnation and ascend to heaven, humans must overcome the constraints of material and non-material gravity. As long as there is a physical vessel, humans cannot escape the Earth and the solar system to reach other planets. The probability of escaping through micro-wormholes, space tunnels, interstellar gates, or lateral space-time is virtually negligible for the general populace and falls outside the realm of conventional discussion. Therefore, to reach heaven, humans must first transcend the physical body. Only by shedding their physical body can they have a chance to escape the Earth and the solar system. The methods to transcend the physical body include natural death, ascension, phoenix nirvana, and astral projection. Life-Genuine emphasizes the method of phoenix nirvana. The concept of phoenix nirvana, mentioned here, shares similarities with historical concepts, particularly in Buddhism, but also has differences in nature and method. Therefore, it should not be equated with or misinterpreted based on historical concepts. Ultimately, the confinement of the physical body to life will be overcome, and there is no need for further in-depth study or discussion. What we need to focus on is the confinement of life by non-material gravity, which I have already discussed in The Law of Gravitation of Life. Please refer to that for further insights. How do we understand the gravitational pull of non-material on life? For example, when we travel away from home, we always long for our own home and eagerly anticipate returning. This longing, this constant desire to return home, represents the gravitational pull of non-material on life. Similarly, when we dream of flying, we often reach a certain height or distance before finding it difficult to fly higher or experiencing fear. This is also a result of the gravitational pull of non-material on life. Furthermore, when we are reincarnated, We tend to be born into familiar environments rather than unfamiliar ones. This, too, is due to the gravitational pull of non-material on life. For members of Life Genuine, there is a clear phenomenon that accurately illustrates the gravitational pull of non-material on life. For example, when entering the second home, some members find it easy to settle in, while others face significant challenges. The primary reason for this discrepancy lies in the varying strength of the gravitational pull of non-material on each individual. Those with weaker pulls find it easier, while those with stronger pulls find it more difficult. Likewise, to transcend the human world and reach heaven in the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, or the Elysium Celestial Islands continent, individuals must first overcome the gravitational pull of non-material in the human and animal worlds. Otherwise, despite their yearning, they will struggle to take action, much like many members of Life Genuine who find it challenging to settle in the second home, even though they aspire to do so. Where gravity is strong, material moves towards. Where gravity is strong, life cycles and transforms. The gravitational pull of non-material on life is latent, imperceptible to humans, and operates independently of human will, determined by the program of Tao. Although heaven exerts a strong pull on humans, why is it so difficult for humans to enter heaven? It is because the gravitational pull of the debts we owe in our past lives far outweighs the pull of heaven. This principle applies only to the world of reincarnation. To completely break free from the cycle of life and enjoy eternal happiness in the Pure Land, commonly referred to as jumping out of the three realms and not staying within the five elements, one must completely sever ties with the world of reincarnation, while the only thorough way of severing is not owing any debts to it while amassing treasures in the Pure Land. This is the basic principle of the gravitation array and how to break free from it to reach an ideal state. The principle is easy to understand, but putting it into practice and achieving one's goals is not a simple task. The ultimate method for escaping gravitational constraints and reaching the other shore is extensively discussed and practiced in Chanyuan Corpus and Xiefeng Corpus, and it is not further elaborated here. 36到八卦阵性阵 36 8 diagram arrays, the array of nature. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. Humans live in nature, just as fish live in water. Humans originate from nature, live in nature, and return to nature. Without nature, there would be no humans. Without nature, there would be no vast world. Nature is the Buddha. Living in nature is living in the Buddha. To become a Buddha, one must live fully in nature. Humans can transcend everything, but they can never transcend nature. Nature is a characteristic of structure, and structure determines the nature of things. Whatever the structure, there is a corresponding nature. All things have nature. The essence of things is determined by structure, but the characteristics of things are manifested by nature. Different things have different natures. Mountains have mountain-like qualities. Water has water-like qualities. Flowers have flower-like qualities. Medicines have medicinal qualities. Animals have animal-like qualities. Humans have human-like qualities. Buddhas have Buddha-like qualities, and gods have divine qualities. All things possess nature and live in nature. They exist in a limited environment because of nature, thus creating the splendid and orderly world, which is the nature array. Nature is divided into three types: innate nature, bestowed nature, and acquired nature. Innate nature is given by the Creator and is the essential attribute of things, belonging wholly to them. Bestowed nature is the characteristics bestowed upon various types of things to differentiate them, belonging to their respective categories. Acquired nature is the habits formed by individual things through the influence of their environment and survival needs, belonging to the individuals themselves. For example, all water in the world shares the common innate nature of water, which belongs to all water bodies. However, seawater, river water, spring water, rainwater, etc., each have different bestowed natures, belonging to their respective categories. Salt water, tea water, medicinal water, tears, etc., acquire habits based on their specific uses, belonging to the individual level. Innate nature refers to the common attributes shared by all. Bestowed nature, inherent nature, refers to the characteristics possessed by a certain category of things, and acquired nature refers to the individuality of a single entity. For instance, let's take flowers as an example. All flowers share a commonality, which is their innate nature. However, flowers are further categorized into different families such as the Asteraceae, daisy family, Liliaceae, lily family, Orchidaceae, orchid family, Cactaceae, cactus family, Araceae, arum family, etc., which is their bestowed, inherent nature. Within the Asteraceae family, there are thousands of varieties like the chrysanthemum, golden daisy, black daisy, pink mini daisy, etc., each with its own individuality, which is their acquired nature. Humans, regardless of who they are, share the common characteristics of humanity, which is their innate nature. However, people of different races, yellow, white, black, have their own unique traits, which are their bestowed natures. Each individual person has their own unique personality, which is their acquired nature. Humans possess both innate nature and their own bestowed and acquired natures. Innate nature is a state of emptiness and elegance without form. It is the nature of Tao. Bestowed nature is a state of differentiation with the Tai Chi. It is the nature of virtue. Acquired nature is a habitual state of adaptation to the environment. It is the nature of reason. Benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and trust are all results of acquired nature. How to escape the nature array? In terms of essential attributes, humans cannot escape the nature array because humans themselves are nature and cannot transcend it. To escape the nature array means to overcome acquired habits, discard bestowed characteristics, and restore innate nature. In other words, if humans surpass the rationality of benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and trust, abandon the nature of virtue, and return to the nature of Tao, they can be considered to have escaped the nature array. When discussing nature, we must also talk about the nature of two sexes and the nature of sexual love. The nature of sexual love is not innate nature or acquired nature, but bestowed nature. Humans are divided into male and female, yin and yang, due to the principles of Tai Chi. All things carry yin yet embrace yang. Is also due to the principles of Tai Chi from the perspective of cultivation. Humans can only transcend sexual love and no longer engage in sexual love when they surpass the yin and yang of Tai Chi and return to innate nature to achieve self-harmony. This is the state of Buddhahood and also the state of super-celestial being. Humans come from nature, return to nature, and the path to returning to innate nature, the nature of Tao, is still nature. Only through sex can one return to nature. When yin and yang achieve balance and saturation, one can return to the sea of nature, the innate nature, the nature of Tao. If yin or yang is lacking, there will be imbalance and deficiency, making it difficult to return to the sea of nature, the innate of nature, the nature of Tao. Do not avoid sex. The more you avoid sex, the further you move away from innate nature, the nature of Tao, Buddhahood. 36到八卦阵堕于阵 36 8 diagram arrays. The array of indulgence. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. All humans possess a degree of laziness, seeking comfort and indulgence, even to the point of extravagance and debauchery. Ultimately, when things reach an extreme, they reverse, returning to poverty and humility, completing a cycle of transitioning from poverty to wealth, from wealth back to poverty, from lowliness to nobility, and from nobility back to lowliness. This is the indulgence array. Humans are capable of striving, but when are they most likely to strive? The answer: when they are poor and humble. Humans are capable of falling, but when are they most likely to fall? The answer: when they are rich and noble. 98% of humanity finds it difficult to escape the indulgence array. Examples of those who have not been able to escape the indulgence array, from ancient to modern times, are countless and as vast as the ocean. From the downfall of a prosperous civilization to the decline of a thriving nation, from the prosperity of a family business to the corruption and decadence of a prominent figure. Though the lessons are profound, people still follow one after another. This demonstrates the formidable power of the indulgence array. Without maintaining a clear mind and adhering to one's original intentions, no one can escape the indulgence array. Everyone can introspect. When we make some progress, do we begin to cultivate feelings of pride and complacency? When we become slightly affluent, Do we already start to crave enjoyment and comfort? When we receive praise and admiration for our merit from those around us, do we start to feel a bit dizzy and lose our direction? When we attain some status and power, does our inner self no longer remain humble and cautious, but instead reveal arrogance and dominance in our words and actions? With even a little gain, we become arrogant. With a little comfort, we stop striving. With a little accumulation, we become corrupted. With a little elevation, we think we have grasped the truth. Humans are so narrow-minded, so incredible, so hopeless, and so base yet difficult to reform. It is easy to go from frugality to extravagance, but difficult to go from extravagance to frugality, because the indulgence array is at work. During the Three Kingdoms period, Zhou Yu of Eastern Wu planned to lure Liu Bei of Shu into marriage with the luxurious life of Eastern Wu. If not for the superior strategies of Zhuge Liang of Shu, Liu Bei would have fallen into the indulgence array and suffered a setback. During the journey to the west to obtain Buddhist scriptures, if not for the unwavering will of Tang Monk, reaching the holy mountain to obtain the scriptures would have been difficult. Look at the decline of the ancient Roman Empire. After the founding of Rome, the slave-owning class liberated themselves from physical labor through slaves. However, at this time, they were not thinking about the prospects of the republic or the empire, let alone becoming a philosopher king. Instead, they were engrossed in money and power struggles. When the ruling class fell into a situation they could not extricate themselves from, and the elites of the era did not think about problems from a historical perspective, the empire not only lost the driving force to create a new civilization, but also foreshadowed the decline of the empire. The eyes of the rich only focus on gold, and due to their luxurious lifestyles, they are like moldy pockets that have worn out and can no longer hold wisdom, frankness, and loyalty. As the upper-class society continued to decay, with the end of the Republic, a large number of new people, who became rich through commerce, entered the Senate, and the number of aristocrats who were both officials and businessmen increased. Therefore, political power was drawn into the circulation field from various different channels, and the destruction of the legal system began from here. Columella also said, "We often enjoy excessive banquets. We even use steam baths to make ourselves sweat profusely in order to eliminate the indigestion brought about by overeating every day. After drying our sweaty bodies, we will feel unbearably thirsty and think about banquets again." Looking at the increase in holidays, during the time of Augustus, there were only 66 holidays according to the calendar. This increased to 87 days during Tiberius. In the mid-4th century, it unprecedentedly increased to 175 days. Excessive extravagance in material life consumes resources, corrupts the ruling class, poisons social customs, and fundamentally destroys the spirit on which the Roman Empire was founded and progressed, which is no different from pulling the firewood from under the pot for civilization. If we forget the scene of the fall of ancient Rome due to its ancient age, then we should still remember the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom movement that occurred in China 160 years ago. Why did the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom fall? The answer: because it did not escape the indulgence array. The decline of civilizations, empires, nations, companies, and other phenomena, organizations, and groups is actually the decline of human nature, the result of humans seeking comfort, extravagance, and indulgence. It is an inevitable cycle caused by not escaping the indulgence array. As practitioners who have embarked on the path of the greatest creator, if we do not escape the indulgence array, the end result will still be the abandonment of previous efforts and a return to the cycle. Life Genuine has already created a paradise on earth, the second home, a secluded utopia. Every Life Genuine member should remember their original intentions. The more superior the environment and conditions, the more diligent, thrifty, modest, and cautious one should be. There should be no room for laziness, waste, or extravagance, let alone indulging in comfort and pleasure leading to corruption and decadence. Spiritual and mental enjoyment should be maximized, but material enjoyment should be limited. This limitation cannot be ensured by regulations, but must be maintained by adhering to the values of Life Genuine and each member's voluntary efforts to build their soul garden. If a Life Genuine member is petty about what they eat, selective about where they live, wasteful about what they wear, extravagant about how they travel and communicate, lazy and sloppy in their work, and receives more from the home than they contribute, and does not put effort into improving the non-material structure of their life daily, but instead thinks about freedom and even promiscuity in love and sex, they have already embarked on the path of seeking comfort and falling into corruption and decadence. This is what worries me the most. Without escaping the indulgence array, the beautiful utopia of the second home will be short-lived and eventually fade away, making it difficult to create a beautiful new life model for humanity. Without escaping the indulgence array, we cannot realize the ultimate ideal of going to heaven. How to escape the indulgence array? Apart from adhering to the 800 values for New Era Human and building one's own soul garden as soon as possible, there is no other way. 36道八卦阵定数阵 36 8 diagram arrays. The Array of Destiny. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. The occurrence, development, transition, and extinction of everything and every phenomenon in the world all have a destiny. The Earth's year is 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 46 seconds. This is a destiny. The mass of the Sun is 1.989 times 10 to the power of 27 tons. The mass of the Earth is approximately 9.89 times 10 to the power of 21 tons, and the mass of the Moon is about 7.35 times 10 to the power of 22 tons. These are also destiny. A person has 2 eyes, 1 mouth, 1 head, and 2 legs. The human body has 206 bones, and the heart beats 2.5 to 3 billion times in a lifetime. The normal pH of the human body is 7.35 to 7.45, and the normal body temperature averages between 36 and 37 degrees Celsius. Underarm. Normal blood pressure is 140 millimeters of mercury, 18.6 kilopascals, systolic, and 90 millimeters of mercury, 12 kilopascals, diastolic. There is a specific size, quantity, and distance ratio between each organ in the human body. These are all destinies. Everything has a limit. Exceeding the limit will cause a qualitative change, or in other words, everything has a certain proportion or degree, and exceeding that proportion or degree will inevitably lead to the opposite. When water is poured into a container, there is definitely a moment when it is full. When eating, there is always a moment when you cannot eat anymore. A camel can only carry a certain weight. Beyond the maximum load, a straw can break the camel's back. A metal rod is very hard, but if continuously struck at a certain fixed point, it will eventually break. Everything has a destiny. This is the law of the universe. Regarding human life, the same law of everything having a destiny also applies. The number of teeth a person should have, the number of hairs, the number of sweat glands are all destinies. When a person is born, when teeth grow, when puberty starts, when aging begins, when death occurs, these are all destinies. It takes 21 days for a chicken to hatch eggs, and humans give birth after 10 months of pregnancy. This is a destiny. We know weather forecasts can predict the weather. This itself proves that everything has a destiny. If there were no destinies, it would be impossible to forecast the weather for the next few days, even impossible for a few hours. Throughout human history, some people have been able to predict the future changes of the world, which also proves that everything has a destiny. Before the discovery of some chemical elements, Mendeleev arranged the periodic table of elements and predicted the existence of other elements that had not yet been discovered. This means that everything has a destiny, a law, and a rule. So, how long a person can live in their lifetime, what diseases they will get, when they will get better or worse, what kind of people they will meet in their lifetime, what conflicts they will have with others, what blessings and sufferings they will experience, what kind of hardships they will endure, and even what kind of work they will do, are all destinies that cannot be escaped. This is also the truth summarized by the ancients. What is meant to be will always find a way. What is not meant to be cannot be forced. Giving everything a certain destiny allows them to grow, decline, change, and transit within a certain destiny, thus maintaining the orderly operation of the world, which is the destiny array. Without the destiny array, the Earth would run out of the solar system, tigers would grow wings, mice would be bigger than cows, people could drink the Pacific Ocean in one gulp, Some people would live for tens of thousands of years on Earth, and seasons would not change periodically. The destiny array is a constraint. Confining everything within a certain range, proportion, or degree is the function, value, and significance of the destiny array. If one does not escape the destiny array, as a human, they will inevitably continue to cycle within a certain domain of life. So, how can one escape the destiny array? Grafting apples onto cold-resistant pear trees produced apple pears. A common iron rod becomes magnetic and directional after magnetization. Ordinary iron, when carbon is added, carbonization, becomes alloy steel, greatly improving its strength, hardness, toughness, and plasticity. Saccharin and sweet wine, chestnuts and duck meat, persimmons and crabs, shrimp shells and red dates combined into food become toxic. Morphine, derived from the opium poppy, reacts with acetic anhydride to undergo esterification, resulting in the formation of its diacetyl derivative, which is the notorious drug heroin. When the nature of things changes, their destinies change accordingly. The key to escaping the destiny array is to replace human consciousness with celestial consciousness. After the replacement, the destinies as a human end, and the destinies as a celestial being begin. 36到八卦阵本能阵 36 8 diagram arrays. The array of instinct. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. The innate survival ability that individuals naturally exhibit without any thought, learning, practice, experience, or simulation, according to the program set by the greatest creator, is instinct. Examples include bees making honey, birds building nests, hens hatching eggs, spiders spinning webs, migratory birds migrating, lambs nursing, butterflies emerging from cocoons, mice digging holes, roosters crowing, cats catching mice, doves courting, peach trees blossoming, pear trees bearing fruit, mimosa pudica curling leaves, animals fleeing, and so on. Instinct is the innate ability that the greatest creator bestows upon various levels and types of life to maintain their own survival and reproduction. The process of directing various levels and types of life to instinctively maintain their own survival and reproduction according to a set program is called the instinct array. Humans have three major instincts: physiological instincts, mental instincts, and spiritual instincts. Physiological instinct is the instinct for survival, mainly manifested in the instinctive need to eat, drink, sleep, have sex, and in the instinctive reactions of fear, resistance, and evasion. Mental instinct is the instinct for desire, mainly manifested in the instinctive pursuit of romantic love, friendship, sex, domination, possession, wealth accumulation, elevation, and consolidation of status and reputation. Spiritual instinct is the instinct for eternal life, primarily manifested in the fear of death and the desire for immortality. The lower the level of life, the stronger the instinct. The higher the level of life, the weaker the instinct. Lower-level life forms depend more on instinct for survival, while higher-level life forms rely more on spontaneous ability to live. Bacteria and microorganisms rely entirely on instinct for survival, as do plants. Insects primarily rely on instinct for survival. Animals mainly rely on instinct for survival, but also begin to apply thought, experience, and emotion. Humans rely on both instinct and experience, thinking, emotions, and spontaneous ability to survive and live, while celestial beings rely mainly on spontaneous ability to live, and super-celestial beings completely transcend instinct and rely on self-awareness to live. Instinct serves as both protection and constraint for life. Because of protection, life naturally possesses the ability to survive. Because of constraint, life finds it difficult to transcend its own kind and ascend to a higher level of life. This is the value and significance of the instinct array. Without escaping the instinct array, life finds it difficult to ascend to a higher level of existence. To escape the cycle of one's own life form and become a celestial being living in heaven, one must escape the instinct array set for humans. The weaker the instinct, the farther from humans and closer to celestials one becomes, while the stronger the instinct, the farther from humans and closer to animals. In other words, the less one relies on instinct, the more one can escape the instinct array, while the more one relies on instinct, the more one will be trapped in the instinct array and unable to break free. How to escape the instinct array? Start from the three aspects of physiology, mentality, and spirituality. Physiologically, reduce the need for and pursuit of eating, dressing, living, aging, sickness, and death, and don't put too much effort into these aspects. Stay away from fear, resistance, and escape. Mentally, free oneself from emotional dependence on others. Break free from the constraints and confusion of romantic love and sex. Don't pursue possession. Don't pursue wealth accumulation and social status. And don't seek fame and reputation. Spiritually, don't fear death and don't pursue eternal youth. By doing so, one can escape the instinct array. Next, one should elevate one's thinking ability, letting one's thoughts transition towards visualized thinking, Taiji thinking, formless thinking, and holographic thinking. On one hand, act in accordance with our natures, and on the other hand, consciously create our imagined future. Most importantly, learn from the celestial beings in the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Celestial Islands continent, imitating their way of thinking and living. Over time, one can escape the instinct array and reach the realm of celestials. 36道八卦阵生死阵 36 8-diagram arrays, the array of life and death. Xiefeng. January 4th, 2011. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Life continues endlessly, revolving ceaselessly, erasing memories of past lives, and reappearing as a new self in specific time and space. With endless hope, all things thriving, life endlessly repeating, dramas unfolding, and ceaseless games. This is the life and death array. Life is a cycle of growth and decline, arising and dwelling, decaying and emptiness. It is constantly renewing and eliminating, scene after scene, act after act. While humans cannot live eternally, the cycle of life and death is eternal. The human soul does not die, yet we believe we will eventually face death. Ahead, there is always a new view. Behind, the scenery gradually fades from the horizon. Like waves, life pushes forward, each wave becoming the next, appearing bright yet dark, dark yet bright. It's an endless journey without an end, a cycle without a conclusion. This is the array of life and death. Arrivals continue, departures never cease. The train of history carries life along tracks without a terminal station, endlessly traversing on ever-changing temporal paths, seeming new yet not old, seeming old yet not new, seeming familiar yet not original, appearing clear yet confusingly inverted. This is the life and death array. Drifting in the river of history, jostling on life's path, sometimes uncertain of the way ahead, sometimes seeing light after darkness, forgetting past grievances, anticipating future joys and sorrows, reluctant but unable to escape, drifting aimlessly with the current or flowing clear with the stream. Just as one ascends a peak, immediately, a canyon follows, different rebirths, the same conclusion. This is the life and death array. Both sorrow and joy, both joy and sorrow, sometimes tragedy, sometimes comedy, sorrow and joy intersect, joy and sorrow alternate, seeming full of hope, yet despair lies at the end. What appears as despair holds hope at its end. With spring and fall they come and go. This is the life and death array. Scenes never ending, paths never fully traversed, hardships never fully consumed, suffering never fully endured, joys never fully enjoyed, calamities never fully borne, anger never fully vented, debts never fully repaid, endless permutations, a human life journey with a beginning and end, relationships entangled, rise and fall, honor and disgrace fluctuate. This is the life and death array. Every person is within the life and death array. Without escaping it, there is no end in sight. Without escaping it, one cannot break free from the 6 realms of reincarnation. Without escaping it, one will suffer the torment of the 5 element cycles. Without escaping it, one can never reach the sacred realm of the celestial land. How to escape the life and death array? Where there is life, there is inevitably death. Where there is death, there is inevitably life. Without birth, there is no death. Without death, there is no birth. Life and death depend on each other. each being the root of the other. Think unconventionally, let your imagination soar. Transform life into death, transform death into life. Only live, never die. Only die, never live. Without birth, without death. Without death, without birth. Die first, then be reborn, living without death. Stay away from inverted dreams. Stay away from illusions. Stay away from the pursuit of possessions. Stay away from the material world. Abandon love and hatred. Abandon closeness and distance. Reject worry and fear. Reject intoxication with life and death. A spark of enlightenment illuminates the vast universe. Without attachment, without hindrance, right and wrong vanish. Honor and disgrace are irrelevant. Flowers bloom and wither without stirring emotions. Clouds gather and disperse without affecting the heart. Without agitation, without worry, without attachment, without restraint. Follow the flow and roam freely. Everything is a game. Only life is real. Treat everything as a game to play. Hold tightly to the greatest creator's hand. Sever worldly ties and establish celestial bonds. 36到八卦阵智慧阵 36 8 Diagram Arrays. The Array of Wisdom. Xiefeng. January 12, 2011. About Xiefeng. Early life. Xiefeng was born in 1957 and grew up on a farm in Gansu Province, China. His father was a very firm believer in and practitioner of communism, and his mother was a kind-hearted and hardworking farmer. As a child, Xiefeng attended temple with his mother to worship Chinese gods, including the Earth God, King of Dragon God, Erlang God, and others. He learned Taoism from his grandmother, Buddhism from his mother, Islam from a Muslim colleague, and Hindu from some Indians. Xiefeng spent his early years in China and had various occupations including being a technician, an English teacher, and a statistics officer. A state company sent him to work as an interpreter in Zimbabwe during the 1990s. Before founding Life Genuine, Xiefeng was self-employed and had several shops plus a restaurant in Harare, the capital and largest city in Zimbabwe. Spiritual awakening. His enlightening experience began after a car accident in Zimbabwe. One day, after he had been driving for many hours on a highway, he fell asleep and crashed his car into a big milestone near a cliff. Magically, incredibly, he survived without any injuries. He did not understand how he could have survived because if his car had gone in only a slightly different direction, it would have rolled over the cliff and he would have died instantly. After that experience, he felt that his old, secular life had died in that car accident, but that his new, spiritual life belonged to some God. He began questioning the meaning of his life as he gradually lost interest in his businesses. He then spent 3 years learning the Bible from Jehovah's Witnesses, occasionally joining them at Kingdom Hall services. However, he eventually felt that he had not found all his answers from that source. For many years, he practiced Qigong every night in order to maintain his health. Moment of Epiphany. Without finding the answers from Jehovah's Witnesses, Xiefeng continued his way seeking for truth in the theory of Buddhism, Taoism, and other philosophies from Chinese ancient wisdom, modern science discovery to meditation on nature phenomena. Then it happened at one night of 1999, when he was reading the Diamond Sutra, he suddenly understood everything. The mysteries of the origin of the universe and humanity, time and space, and what life is, unraveled and became crystal clear to him. An invisible divine force compelled him to write all his discoveries on paper, and that is where Xiefeng Corpus and Chanyuan Corpus came from. Chanyuan Corpus and Xiefeng Corpus. In June 2001, Xiefeng terminated his businesses in Zimbabwe gradually and began writing articles for Chanyuan Corpus and Xiefeng Corpus. From 2001 to 2017, Xiefeng has written nearly 3,000 articles describing the construction of the Life Genuine value system, including the profound truth of the universe, life, time, space, consciousness, non-material structure, and energy, as well as the way to create a new production and life mode for people and guidance articles to help Chanyuan Celestials purify their soul gardens and sublimate their life qualities on the self-cultivation way. In 2010, Chanyuan Corpus and Siefeng Corpus were published formally through the Hong Kong International Culture Press with the first 1,000 sets of 10 books. Life of Chanyuan column articles on Buoxuan website have reached 12,880,000 hits as of the end of 2017. Note: Buoxuan is the most visited website for political commentary and social reporting among the ethnic Chinese population of North America. New Oasis for Life. In 2009, Siefeng returned to China and founded the second home of Life of Chanyuan, now New Oasis for Life, community. It had been developing quite well, with more than 150 members on 3 farms in Yunnan province. In January 2017, in anticipation of a promising future, Siefeng changed the community's name to New Oasis for Life. As the founder of Life of Chanyuan, Siefeng sees that his role is the spiritual guide to reap the ripe crops, initiate and develop the new production and life mode for the new era, and guide Chanyuan Celestials to climb the highest realms of life and life. I have an ideal. Shuefeng. Translated by Transin Limited and edited by Care. Following the footprints of immortals, sages, oracles, and saints, I have crossed and trekked numerous treacherous mountains and rivers. Roaming all through the wilderness of soul, I have been spreading the message of the greatest creator. The wishes of God and Buddha and the expectations of oracles and saints have converged to form my ideal, which is as clear and bright as the shining sun and can be food of thought for you to meditate over. Human beings have been trekking along a long path soaked with blood. Jesus and Sakyamuni have revealed to us that in the universe there are many higher spaces of life, and have earnestly and tirelessly admonished us not to go astray from the great road of life. Numberless immortals, sages, oracles, and saints have exerted their utmost effort for the happiness of mankind. Their souls are still shining brightly over us, warning us not to act against the law of nature and wishing us to live a happy life. However, blinded by the dense fog of civilization, mankind has been straying further and further away from the great road. I want to kindle a beacon of hope to light up the endless darkness, bringing mankind a ray of hope. I want to create an oasis out of the vast and isolated desert, offering an auspicious and harmonious habitat for life on earth. I want to build a land of spirit and soul out of the boundless ocean of flaunty material prosperity, leading to the land those people who yearn towards the greatest creator, love life and nature, and possess beautiful human nature and soul, and making them eternally severed from the abyss of sufferings. I will shepherd them safely to the 1,000-year world to enjoy the wonderful time of the millennium. The people favored by God and Buddha are still miserably shackled in spirit and soul. In this bustling world overrun with desire for material acquisition, people with a purer and better heart are more prone to spiritual and psychological tortures, and cannot afford even a moment of peace and quiet. Every place reeks of putrid smells. What meet the eyes are wickedness and evils that have gone unpunished. Man's tremendous amount of legal articles and religious teachings are powerless to avert the depravity of morality and the prevalence of wickedness. The viciously misleading evil soul and the junk thought have taken up the throne of truth. Despotism has not only caused the loss of personal and spiritual freedom for the governed, but also has caused the governing class to be trapped in the quagmire of desperation, without any hope to obtain the true freedom of life. I want to tell people that the plight of mankind doesn't lie in the material aspect but in the spiritual aspect. The wasteland of spirit and soul is the real source of human suffering. Seeking the homestead for spirit and soul is an urgency for mankind. The blind pursuit of material acquisition is only analogous to quenching one's thirst with poisoned wine, or stopping water from boiling by scooping it up and pouring it back. Thus, such acts will cause the ruin of not only the earth, but mankind itself. An era is a demoniac era if the dignity of a person is determined by the amount of money he has earned and the social position he has attained, and if the value of man is not measured by his moral character and good deeds. A society is an evil society if it allows its subjects to become upstart through speculation and plundering instead of getting rich with honest and diligent labor. A government is a despotic and satanic government if it spares no effort to force out new thinking, attempting to lock people in an ignorant and barbarian and savage world. A nation will be one void of wisdom and oriented toward insanity and destruction if it does not advocate dedication and love, but blindly instigates its people to use violence. Man's worry originates partly from ignorance and partly from selfishness. Because of ignorance, we have invited demons in but shut the door against God and Buddha. Because of selfishness, we have chosen wickedness but abandoned righteousness. A lot of good ideals and kind moralities are often snuffed out in the cradle. The desolation of soul is the optimum soil to breed junk thought and religious plague. Today, people are engulfed in information. Television, networks, newspapers and magazines, books and lectures are infusing mountains of information into us, far more than we can digest, thus causing the indigestion, malnutrition, and ill health. The pursuit of knowledge has become a morbid thirst. The more we attempt to swallow down unthinkingly, the less we understand. Various media have become the fertile soil to cultivate ignorance and manic and blind adherence. Having no beliefs, no principles, no wisdom, and no spiritual perception, those literati have made up rancid articles under the pretense of maintaining stability, advocating reform, carrying forward culture, inheriting legacies, publicizing morality, and promoting benevolence, and under the disguise of adhering to belief, cultivating oneself, pursuing freedom, and fighting despotism. They have fabricated so much cultural garbage and so many spiritual drugs that it is impossible to clean them all up. The roughly manufactured scum has become our daily food for thought, which has directly distorted our values, destroyed our human environment, and polluted our pure heart. Having no beliefs, no principles, no wisdom, and no spiritual sense, those literati hangmen worship those rancid articles as classics under the pretense of maintaining stability, advocating reform, carrying forward culture, inheriting legacies, publicizing morality, and promoting benevolence, and under the disguise of adhering to belief, cultivating oneself, pursuing freedom, and fighting despotism. As for those works of wisdom, which shine resplendently with thought, they look down upon them as heresies and wielded their cultural butcher knife toward them without hesitation. The Chinese people. On the one hand, you have been heaving sighs that China has become a land deserted by the greatest creator. But have you, on the other hand, acquired the broadness of mind to include great wisdom? Can you recognize it when great wisdom really descends from heaven? I have an ideal that the greatest creator may enter China and the human world, that Christianity and Buddhism may regain their prevalence here, and that humanity may be restored on the beautiful land. When conspiracy and tricks prevail over truth, justice is taunted, enthusiasm meets with contempt, reverence for the greatest creator is regarded as ridiculous, oppression and bully are viewed as inviolable power, the hoodwinked masses are meanwhile branded as ignorant, freedom is slandered, life is trampled, right and wrong are reversed, black and white are confused, and good and evil people mix together. Then in such situations we have no choice but to search the source of life. Only in this way can we pierce through the indistinct murk and see the light. Only in this way can we steady the steer in the turbid and turbulent waves and ultimately reach the ocean of life. In this unusual time of superficial prosperity, when actually crises are lurking everywhere, we are not yet in the position to sing praises of the virtue or merits. At a time when the journey is rough and treacherous, flattery and conservativeness cannot salvage us. Now it is not yet the time when the bank of injustice has gone bankrupt completely. Any non-action and dawdling will only speed up the approach of doomsday. We will only eventually lose our beautiful homestead and splendid future if we are only capable of destruction and are incapable of construction, if we don't know how to repay other people's favors and are only bent on vengeance, and if we only want to acquire from others and do not know how to dedicate to others. For many centuries, man's blind behaviors have dug out an abyss, which can engulf us at any moment and thus should be filled up. The sooner it is leveled up, the better it would be. Reverence for the greatest creator and adherence to his road is our only hope, because only in front of the greatest creator can we have equal human dignity. Because we should worship the greatest creator so that our mind can possess soul, our knowledge be transformed into wisdom. And only in this way can we understand the meaning of life and embark on the great road of life. You may lock yourself up in the ivory tower, lose yourself in the piles of broken papers, and engross yourself in the so-called academic research, thus placing yourself outside the social issues. In so doing, you seem to have entered a serene heaven. However, can you expect any egg to remain intact if the nest is overturned? Poke your head inside a cave, leaving your hindquarter exposed and fancying that what is not seen does not exist. Can you derive from your research any great achievements that may do any good to humankind? The unrealistic teaching or truth that blindly preaches pursuit of happiness of future life is absurd and wicked. A person always wearing a smile is relentless at heart. A person always with tears is cruel at heart. Children are suffering starvation and cannot afford education. The poverty-stricken have no money to treat their diseases. However, we are manufacturing various kinds of luxury products and building one after another lifeless skyscrapers. Isn't this a mockery and blasphemy against life? If our neighbors have no freedom, we ourselves cannot obtain complete freedom. If our brothers are suffering starvation, we cannot swallow the dainty food in our mouths. If people in the remote areas are crying, we will not be able to enjoy quietly the comfort and luxury of big cities. I have an ideal. I will lead those who truly yearn towards the greatest creator to life genuine and transform the jarring hullabaloo into a fraternal movement and play a convivial symphony of life. I firmly believe that mankind can certainly walk out of the dark canyon and the wasteland of spirit and enter an unprecedentedly beautiful field. I firmly believe that soul will prevail over flesh and that people will eventually obtain the freedom of body and mind and the serenity of life. This is not a golden fantasy for the remote future. The majestic tides are surging with mighty momentum. Among their broad bosoms are contained colorful gems that can decorate man's life and make it more noble and beautiful. When the unexpected supernatural incident comes, the mysterious power shall strike people's heartstrings, the vast fields will take on the splendid coating, the polluted rivers will become clear and pure again, the turbid sky will be changed into expanses of colorful clouds, and the free rhythm will reverberate in each inch of the land. Eternal virtue remains with Jesus Christ. Supreme wisdom is ascribed to Sakyamuni. Eternal glory belongs to the greatest creator. Life's wisdom. Seicola. Who is wrong? Xiefeng. Edited by Care. No one in the world is wrong. Everyone is right. If we think that everything in the world is right, that proves that we are right. If we think that everything in the world is wrong, that proves that we are wrong. No one is wrong. It is you who are wrong. Mice burrow. Are they wrong? The mice think they are right, but that mankind is wrong. Cats catch mice. Are they wrong? The cats are not wrong, because they believe that what they do is perfectly justified. Wolves eat meat. Sheep eat grass. Who is right and who is wrong? All are right. If we think it is not right, that means our understanding of things is not right. Some believe in Christianity, some believe in Buddhism, some believe in Marxism. Who is right and who is wrong? All are right. If we think that some beliefs are wrong, that proves our understanding has a problem. Some like money, some like beauty, some prefer to be alone, some like to fight. Who is right and who is wrong? All are right. If we think they are wrong, that only proves that we are wrong. Some are addicted to be the police. Some are fascinated to be thieves. Is anybody wrong? Nobody is wrong. Are lazy people wrong? Are hard-working people right? We are not the ones to say who is right and who is wrong. We can only say what is right for our very selves. Is the arrangement of heaven wrong? No. If you think heaven's arrangement is wrong, it is because we ourselves are wrong. It is only we who are wrong. We have no one and nothing to blame, not heaven, not the earth, not society, and not others. 10,000 dharmas are mere consciousness. Reality is created by mind. Whether the structure of the water molecule is beautiful or ugly depends completely on our attitude towards it. Are you sick? Do not resent society and others. It is your own fault. Are you in poverty? Do not resent society and others. It is your own fault. Do you have a troubled mind? Do not blame society and others. It is your own fault. Is the greatest creator dead? The greatest creator is not dead. It is you who are dead. Is Buddha not compassionate? Buddha is very compassionate. It is you who are not. In this view, wars, plagues, earthquakes, floods, and fires are not wrong. It is we who are wrong. In this view, burning and looting, embezzlement and theft, bribery and rampant mafia-style activities are not wrong. It is we who are wrong. The reality that we think is not reality, but rather a reflection of our subjective consciousness. It is our subjective consciousness that creates our reality in our minds. Quantum mechanics tells us that the existence form of the thing is closely related to the observer. That is to say, the thing being observed is the result of the observer. The action of the being observed depends on the observer's state of mind. For the same man, Xiefeng, some see him as the messenger of the greatest creator and the incarnation of gods and Buddha. Some see him as a witch and a madman, a fake preacher in the cloak of the greatest creator. Some see him as a friend and a second half. Some see him as a street shrew. Some see him as a saint. Some see him as an erotomaniac. After all, what he is depends on the cognitive way and the mentality of the observer. This further indicates that only when you have gods and Buddha in your mind can you see gods and Buddha, and only when you have devils in your mind can you see devils. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The devil is in the eye of the enemy. This is in line with the conclusions of the quantum mechanics. Tao learners are to change themselves rather than change others or society. If you do not change yourself, society and people will never change. If you change yourself, society and others will change accordingly. Similarly, if you want to enjoy a better environment, you must first have a beautiful soul. If you do not have a beautiful soul, you will never have a beautiful environment. This is one of the 8 secrets of life. If we want to live in the 1,000-year world, we must first acquire consciousnesses and souls that are fit for the 1,000-year world. Once we get these consciousnesses and souls, it will be as easy as rolling a log for us to enter the 1,000-year world. The difficult thing is not that we cannot go, it is that we cannot adjust our thinking because thinking has inertia. Laziness and unwillingness to engage in in-depth discussions and thinking are commonalities for people. Letting our thinking run according to convention is the easiest and simplest, but it has no future. Do you want to get rid of your immediate dilemma? You must first realize that you are wrong. The plight before your eyes is the objective reflection of your false consciousness. If your false consciousness remains unchanged, then your immediate plight can never be clear of it. Even if you escape from this predicament, the next predicaments will arrive unceasingly and in quick succession. It is only when you realize your mistake that you can find the right direction in which to go. It is only when you understand that the world is not wrong, that it is you who are wrong, that you can see the ultimate goal of life. And only when you know the ultimate goal of life, that your life can go to the higher level. Do you want to jump off a building and kill yourself? Jump. You can go to hell after the jump. Do you want to cultivate Tao and become immortal? Do it. You can go to heaven after the cultivation. Do you want to suffer? No problem. Just go on a wild goose chase and stick to your narrow mind and just think you are never wrong. Then you can expect suffering and torment. Do you want to be joyful and blessed? No problem. Just open your mind and engage in unconventional thinking. Just realize that you are wrong, and then you will have infinite joy and blessings. Did I say wrong? Who is wrong, you or I? I know I am wrong, but are you right? 走出绝望. Escape from despair. Xiefeng. Edited by Care. Fear can hold you prisoner. Hope can set you free. The Shawshank Redemption. Each year, hundreds of thousands of people in despair commit suicide, while each day, tens of millions in despair struggle to survive. It has been this way in the past, and it continues to be this way now, but it does not have to be this way in the future. Natural disasters do not make people despair, nor do hard material lives. Rather, people only despair when they have mental and spiritual trauma, and when they have the consciousness of seeing no better prospect. Mankind must rise from despair. The despair of life, the despair of mind, the despair of soul, and the despair of consciousness. People's desperation is not the intent of the greatest creator, or of gods, Buddha, the celestials, or of saints and sages. It is the product of people's mysterious consciousness, both the individual consciousness and the collective consciousness. Everyone must start from within themselves in order to escape from despair. To escape from the desperation of our minds is the key to escaping despair. Death may befall anyone at any time, and if we do not remove the threat of death from our consciousness, whether our life is brilliant or bleak, it will be a tragedy and an illusion in the end. How do we change life's tragedy into a comedy? How do we turn life's adversity into prosperity? How do we turn the bitter wine of death into the sweet nectar of life? The first reality about life is that death is not the end of life. People attain the quality of celestial beings through self-refinery and self-improvement and then go to live in the heaven of life. The 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Island continent. Heaven is not an illusory conception of religionists to anesthetize people's hearts. Rather, it is true reality. To clarify this point, we must understand that what had been a mystery of life is no longer such. To this end, not only have Jesus, Buddha, Seth, and even ESP already revealed the answer to us, but Life Genuine has also done the same, and with greater details. As long as you enter Life Genuine, you need to give up your inherent mindset and open your heart. I am sure that you can understand this holy yet simple mystery. Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, taught us, "If it be that ye can pass beyond the zones of heaven and earth, pass ye. Not without authority shall ye be able to pass." This coincides with Lao Tzu saying, "Heaven's net is broad and wide, with big meshes, yet letting nothing slip through." The way to avoid the nets above and snares below is to seek Tao. What is authority? What is Tao? In short, it is the greatest creator. So revering and worshiping the greatest creator is the greatest commandment of life. As we walk through the mist of death, we will see a new world. When we understand the real existence of heaven and when we are informed of the way to heaven, the bitters and sweets of life will turn into nectars, and we will be able to stride to the next station with neither adversities nor hardships, but rather with confidence, ease, and calmness. To escape from the despair of our souls, we must understand the non-material world, because if we do not, then our souls will remain dark. Not only will we not view the scenes of heaven, but we will not even see the glow of its dawn. We must carefully savor the words of Jesus and those of Sakyamuni. They never spoke falsehoods or told lies. Everything they spoke is true, and each sentence is a rung on the ladder to heaven. We must escape from our mental despair. We must practice unconventional thinking, because anything believed to be impossible through conventional thinking is possible through unconventional thinking and with fewer complications. We must understand the secrets of the Noble Eightfold Path of thinking and break from the shackles that traditional thoughts impose upon us. We must take efforts to see the distant views and the prospects, and we must trek unswervingly to the highest realm of life. To free ourselves from the despair of life, we must establish the correct worldview and outlook on life. To this point, we should learn from Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, from Mao Zedong, from Avalokitesvara, and from Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. We must release our personal interests and wear the shoes of the suffering people in our hearts. We must dedicate our lives to the people, society, and nature that nurtured us. To free ourselves from the desperation of life, we must take the great way, not the small trail. Becoming celebrities, heroes, officials, or simply wealthy is not the great way of life. To overthrow a regime, damage a harmonious society, suppress a religion or political party, form an armed social group, and so on would not welcome in the great way of life either. To earn a doctoral scholarship or professorship title, to cultivate special magic powers and arts, to practice witchcraft and sorcery, to read people's fortunes through the black art of divination, or to conjure gods and dispatch ghosts are not the great way of life. To embezzle and breach one's duties, to form cliques and factions, engage in malpractice for selfish ends, or to do anything by hook or crook does not support the great way of life. On the contrary, they are the evil way of life. What we do must be fair and square, but never done underhandedly. The Lord is everywhere, and nothing you do remains unknown forever. We must lead honorable and upright lives, not do things clandestinely, not learn tricks to conspire, and never say anything to curse or blaspheme your ancestors. The great way of life should be like this. Revere the greatest creator, revere nature, revere the gods and Buddha, honor your parents, respect the prophets, saints and masters, respect national leaders, be law-abiding, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Respect the old and love the young, be honest, industrious, kind, and do not take anything from others for nothing. Do not take advantages of others, the state, or nature, and try to be an ordinary, simple, and happy person. Life genuine is the final course for mankind. Heaven has its Tao, earth has its Tao, and people have their Tao. As long as we follow humane Tao, we will attain immortal Tao. As long as we enter life genuine to learn, understand, and comprehend with open minds, we will discard our despair, enter the life genuine era, and eventually enter the Elysium world of heaven. Deny despair, refuse despair, and abandon despair. Let us join hands, love and help each other, and march towards the field of hope. 无悔人生, a life without regrets. Xiefeng, edited by Kair. There are countless paths of life, but few of them are without regrets. From imperial families to those in poverty, and from highbrow dignitaries with imperial notions to the masses who follow pop culture, few people can say when they leave the mortal world, I regret nothing in my life. Regrets are part of life. Remorse and distress interweave into life as people advance dauntlessly, trying to pursue an optimum life through one attempt after another. Philosophers, religionists, and politicians try to navigate through life with efforts to make them work without regrets, and although everyone begins to fight for their ideal life from the time they are born, almost all eventually leave the world with regrets and emotional scars. Which way leads to a life without regrets? In the early 1980s, I wrote a letter to a friend in which I listed 3 main pursuits in life: health, wealth, and freedom. However, I have found that even after having achieved these goals, I am still far away from that life without regrets. Today, I view having a life without regrets as one which realizes these 5 ideals. To connect one's own life with that of the source life. In this case, no matter how short one's life is in this mortal world and no matter what hardships or splendors they might traverse, their life will always remain connected with eternity, and a much more magnificent picture will manifest itself in the end. In this way, their life will have no regrets. To accept one's fate as it is. Whether one is a blade of grass or a peony, a robust eagle daunting through the sky, or an agile swallow flying over fields and under eaves, whether they are born handsome and beautiful or plain and ordinary, whether they are highly gifted or severely challenged, and whether they are born into a humble house in a remote village or into the imperial palace in the capital, they can all appreciate the sun and moon, rivers and mountains, the rosy dawn and sunset's glow, the wind and frost, and the rain and snow. As long as they have hearts like this, they will feel grateful and not complain about the Tao of heaven being unfair. This too is the way to lead a life without regrets. To create joy in one's life through hard work, as busy as a bee working cheerfully. No matter how much spiritual or material wealth they create, no matter whether the fruits of their labor are enjoyed by many or few, they must keep working sincerely. They must not expect to be extremely rich and noble, or to earn great fame and recognition. As long as their blood, sweat, and tears drip into the soil along their natural paths, they can all be proud to say, I have tried. In such a case, their life will have no regrets. To act in accordance with one's nature. It is a life's eternal error to imitate and emulate others. A lady from an illustrious family has her special charm as a daughter from a humble family also has her qualities. Urban city dwellers have their style while countrymen have their pure beauty. The rich have their problems, but the poor have their happiness. Delicacies have beautiful tastes and colors, but plain tea and simple food have rich nutrition. And extraordinary people have special gifts, but ordinary folks also have their advantages. To dream one's dreams and enjoy their pleasures, to take things as they are and act in accordance with one's nature, neither to force one's actions, follow fashion, nor compare themselves with others, to love what one loves and hate what they hate, and to treat oneself sincerely are all necessary if one is to enjoy a life without regrets. To do their best at everything they do, whether it is to support their parents and rear their own children, or to help their siblings, friends, and neighbors, and seek public benefit, as long as one does their best, they will have no regrets. Our parents brought us up and their love is higher than the mountains and deeper than the sea. Every child wants their parents to enjoy their twilight years and to show their filial piety every day, but there are many things beyond our control and few can do absolutely as they wish. Parents understand this, and as long as they have tried their best, they will have no regrets. Children are our future and our ideal, and every parent wants their children to enjoy wonderful and successful lives. But wishes are wishes and reality is reality. Even one's fingers are of different lengths and weeds will grow in flower gardens. No one can expect perfection, but as long as they have done their best to rear their children, they should have no regrets regardless of what happens. There is nothing anyone can do when their children complain and resent them, but those who have done everything to the best of their ability will have no regrets. No one should ever carry more burdens than they can bear, nor force themselves to do the impossible. To act to one's capability and to do their best is to realize a life without regrets. We can certainly run on, but as there is no perfect life under heaven, why should we pursue one? All things created by the greatest Creator are strewn in random order, but at distinct levels. As long as we obey the arrangements of the greatest Creator, fulfill our obligations as human beings, and advance along the track of human nature, then whether our life shows favor or adversity or is bright or dark, ours will be a life without regrets. 灵性人生, The Spiritual Life. Xiefeng. January 10th, 2006. Translated by Shidai and edited by Care. Life on earth can be divided into three categories: the mortal life, the wise life, and the spiritual life. Those who live for money, food, status, fame, and friendship are leading mortal lives. A full 80 to 85% of all people endure these types of lives. Those who live to pursue truth, spiritual wealth, honesty, kindness, beauty, love, and creating harmonious societies are leading wise lives. About 5 to 10% of people lead these types of lives. Those who live to revere the greatest Creator, comprehend the mysteries of Tao, supreme enlightenment, and the highest state of life are leading spiritual lives. Only about 2 to 5% of people are gifted to lead these types of lives. Spiritual lives are extraordinary lives. This tiny percentage of people who lead spiritual lives have only the greatest Creator in their hearts and minds. They never use their own wisdom or cleverness, but follow their hearts to live. They have no religions and do not put their hopes on any nations or special leaders. They have established unbreakable relationships with the greatest Creator, and though they live on earth, their hearts are already transcending through time and space and traveling toward the kingdom of the greatest Creator. They are retiring and unassuming, forgetting their own lives and wholeheartedly walking on the way of the greatest Creator. Their hearts are full of peace and light. These people are the seeds of heaven and the essence of humanity. If you want to follow the spiritual path, the best road is to follow Jesus Christ's teachings. All teachings from Jesus Christ are telling people to walk on the way of the greatest Creator, which is also the mission and sole purpose of Jesus Christ's coming to earth. Let us listen to the teachings of Jesus Christ in order to live this spiritual life. Jesus answered, I tell you the truth. No one can enter the kingdom of God unless he is born of water and the Spirit. John 3 verse 5. Jesus answered, Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again, but whoever drinks the water I give him will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give him will become in him a spring of water welling up to eternal life. John 4 verse 13. Jesus declared, Believe me, woman, a time is coming when you will worship the Father neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem. You Samaritans worship what you do not know. We worship what we do know, for salvation is from the Jews. Yet a time is coming and has now come when the true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and truth, for they are the kind of worshippers the Father seeks. God is spirit, and his worshippers must worship in spirit and in truth. John 4 verses 21 to 24. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Matthew 6 verses 19 to 21. So do not worry, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? For the pagans run after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Matthew 6 verses 31 to 33. Enter through the narrow gate. For wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. Matthew 7, 13 to 14. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name drive out demons and perform many miracles? Then I will tell them plainly, I never knew you. Away from me, you evildoers. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. Matthew 7, 21 to 27. And so I tell you, every sin and blasphemy will be forgiven men, but the blasphemy against the Spirit will not be forgiven. Anyone who speaks a word against the Son of Man will be forgiven, but anyone who speaks against the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven, either in this age or in the age to come. Matthew 12, 31 to 32. Then some of the Pharisees and teachers of the law said to him, Teacher, we want to see a miraculous sign from you. He answered, A wicked and adulterous generation asks for a miraculous sign, but none will be given it except the sign of the prophet Jonah. Matthew 12, 38 to 39. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant looking for fine pearls. When he found one of great value, he went away and sold everything he had and bought it. Matthew 13, 44 to 46. Then Jesus said to the centurion, Go, it will be done just as you believed it would. Matthew 8:13. Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold, but he who stands firm to the end will be saved. John 24, 12 to 13. Anyone who loves his father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. Anyone who loves his son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And anyone who does not take his cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. John 10, 37 to 39. Then Jesus declared, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me will never go hungry, and he who believes in me will never be thirsty. But as I told you, you have seen me, and still you do not believe. All that the Father gives me will come to me, and whoever comes to me I will never drive away. For I have come down from heaven, not to do my will, but to do the will of him who sent me. John 6, 35 to 38. Stop grumbling among yourselves, Jesus answered. No one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws him, and I will raise him up at the last day. It is written in the prophets, they will all be taught by God. Everyone who listens to the Father and learns from him comes to me. John 6, 43 to 45. He went on to say, This is why I told you that no one can come to me unless the Father has enabled him. John 6:65. But what about you? He asked. Who do you say I am? Simon Peter answered, You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Jesus replied, Blessed are you, Simon son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by man, but by my Father in heaven. John 16:15-17. He replied, Because you have so little faith. I tell you the truth, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, Move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. Matthew 17:20. He called a little child and had him stand among them. And he said, I tell you the truth, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 18:2-3. Again, I tell you that if two of you on earth agree about anything you ask for, it will be done for you by my Father in heaven. For where 2 or 3 come together in my name, there am I with them. Matthew 18:19-20. He said to another man, Follow me. But the man replied, Lord, first let me go and bury my father. Jesus said to him, Let the dead bury their own dead, but you go and proclaim the kingdom of God. Still another said, I will follow you, Lord, but first let me go back and say goodbye to my family. Jesus replied, No one who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God. Luke 9:59-62. Jesus answered, My teaching is not my own. It comes from him who sent me. If anyone chooses to do God's will, he will find out whether my teaching comes from God or whether I speak on my own. He who speaks on his own does so to gain honor for himself, but he who works for the honor of the one who sent him is a man of truth. There is nothing false about him. John 7 verses 16-18. We shall try our best to enter through the narrow gate and live spiritual lives by following the teachings of Jesus Christ to walk on the way of the greatest Creator. No one's teachings are more comprehensive, profound, and authentic than those of Jesus Christ. Therefore, Jesus is the Christ, the door to eternal life. It is only by entering through this door, and we do not need any other methods to self-improve or self-refine, that we might arrive in the kingdom of the greatest Creator, the Elysium world. 人生的三大财富 The three great treasures of life. Xiefeng. July 24th, 2006. Translated by Transin and edited by Care. People accumulate and process 3 types of treasures of wealth during their lifetimes. They are defined as immaterial wealth. This is the physical material to sustain human bodies, represented by forms of money, such as currency, precious metals, jewelry, real estate, vehicles, food, household appliances, clothing, and any other physical properties. Spiritual wealth. This includes those elements that enable consciousness, including wisdom and understanding, and all mental activities to remain healthy, free, uplifted, comfortable, and blessed through attributes such as knowledge, skills, experiences, family affection, friendship, love, religions, groups, states, reputations, positions, and so on. Soul wealth. This is the intangible energy and information that can make the quality of life elevate and the non-material structure of life evolve to the perfect system, such as the psychic energy of the greatest Creator, the running program of Tao, the revelation of gods, the teachings of Buddha, the cultivation of celestial beings, inspiration, spiritual perception, and so on. The 3 great treasures above complement each other and are integral to each other. With no material wealth, we cannot have the foundation to make a living. We will either die or become beggars and parasites. Our bodies will not rest, our hearts shall not be at peace, and our undertakings will fail. We will be starving and impoverished, and so we must create and get material wealth by relying on our intelligence and hard work. However, those with only material wealth and no spiritual or soul wealth are lacking and tend to commit crime, suicide, and abuse life and nature. Without spiritual wealth, we would be a constantly moving animal who lives by instinct. The lack of ideological wealth would make us lonely, bored, and empty, and we could not reach a state of joy and blessing, and our mentality would be twisted and distorted, suppressed, hot-tempered, eccentric, and prone to go to extremes. However, those with only spiritual wealth but with no material or soul wealth are lacking, prone to being liars, to talk big and fool along. They are likely to do things stealthily, be opportunistic, and become parasites who love to eat, drink, and have fun, as well as careerists and schemers. But without soul wealth, we would never know the meaning and value of life and the purposes of human life. We would not be able to establish the right worldview and outlook on life, and our values would be confused. Not having belief and faith would be like walking through the black of a starless night with low spiritual perception and living a muddled life like a walking corpse. However, those with only soul wealth but no material or spiritual wealth are also lacking. They are likely to be possessed by devils, dwell on spirits and deities, fortunes and disasters, and to play with concepts. They look ghost-like and are obsessed and maniacal. They tend to defile the names of the greatest creator, gods, Buddha, and celestial beings, to poison and bewitch people's hearts, to bring harm to society, and to deviate from humanity and from nature. Earth, water, air, and fire mutually reinforce and neutralize each other. Symmetric balance is blessing. If you ignore any single one of the three great treasures, you will not be able to obtain a perfect life and will walk on a deformed life. Road. The perfect life should be as such. To learn knowledge and skills lifelong, based on the experiences acquired through hard and honest work, getting a constant, proper amount of material wealth, but never taking the pursuit of material wealth as life's ultimate purpose, lest we become slaves to material wealth. To love nature, cherish family affection, friendship, love, to honor our good reputations, to comprehend the revelations of gods and Buddha, to listen to the teachings of saints and sages, to revere nature and the greatest creator, to constantly self-refine and self-improve, to never stop trekking and climbing to the highest realms of life and develop to perfection. To take the way of the greatest creator and pursue the three great treasures, giving neither up nor going to extremes with either, but controlling the balance, having peaceful hearts and minds. Just like the clear streams falling from the head source while cheering and jumping across valleys and between mountains, winding their way and rushing to the vast ocean while singing all the way. In the end, it is to get wishes fulfilled, debts paid off, connections unbound from the mortal world, and to become extraordinarily refined, to accumulate merits and virtues, to understand the mystery of life, to meet death with joy and excitement, and to ultimately reach the Elysium world. 追赶太阳逃过黑夜, Chasing the sun and escaping the night. Xiefeng. July 10th, 2017. Edited by Kair. It was 6 a.m. on Wednesday, August 19th. We flew west for 2.5 hours from Beijing Capital Airport, PK, to Chhatrapati Shivaji International Airport, BOM, in Mumbai, India, where the local time was also 6 a.m. We then continued to fly west for another 3.5 hours to Harare International Airport, HRE, in Zimbabwe, where the local time was still 6 a.m. We continued to fly for another 7 hours to New York City, where the local time was still 6 a.m. We continued to fly west for another 11 hours back to Beijing International Airport, where we found that the time was also 6 a.m., but it was Thursday, August 20th. We had flown for 24 hours, from 6 a.m. on Wednesday to 6 a.m. on Thursday, but the 24 hours we had gone through were all during the morning, never in the evening, and all the times we saw were 6 a.m. So where did the night go? You may think about where the night went, but the fact is that we are fully capable of leading our lives without nights and can even spend them with eternal mornings, middays, and afternoons. From this, we know the following truth. As long as we chase the light, we can escape the darkness. This is an indisputable fact, but is everything like this? Things can be very smooth when we actively seek sincerity, kindness, beauty, and love, but misfortune will befall us when we fail to actively pursue them, just as we would encounter the night if we did not remain on westbound jet planes. A girl who finds a sugar daddy may escape from poverty for a brief period of time, and a boy who follows an emperor may escape disaster. When our fathers want to punish us, but we coax them and make them happy in some way, their desire to punish us will diminish. The ship we were to have taken sank, but we took a patient with a serious disease to a hospital and missed the ship and also the disaster. Please try to understand this fact. If we chase the light, we can escape the darkness. If we pursue happiness, we can be free from misery and trouble. If we pursue the truth, we can avoid falsity. If we pursue beauty, we can escape ugliness. And if we pursue goodness, we will avoid evil. More importantly, if we pursue the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world, we will escape the mortal world. Nights exist, but they have nothing to do with us. The mortal world exists, but it has nothing to do with the people who live in heaven. And here is the fact. If we worship Buddha, then we will attain Buddhahood, and if we seek to be celestial beings, then we will become celestial beings. Those who remain single all their lives will avoid the afflictions that families cause. If we learn from the saints, we will avoid committing crimes, being hunted by the police, and being arrested. If we sit at home for self-improvement, we will miss the car accident. If we attend church or temple services, we will miss being assaulted, mugged, or robbed. If we do not fight in wars, we will avoid the threat of being killed on the battlefield. Chanyuan Celestials of Life Chanyuan go all out to pursue sincerity, kindness, beauty, love, and the highest realms of life and will escape the darkness, falsity, wickedness, ugliness, hate, and cheating, and escape from the mortal world and from hell. Misfortune and suffering will withdraw farther from us. We will have light when others are in darkness, will be in a land of idyllic beauty when others are being punished by nature, and will be enjoying the kingdom of heaven when others fall into abysses. We are delighted to cultivate ourselves every day and to revere and take the way of the greatest creator. Unconsciously, we avoid a lot of misery and devastation. As long as we hold on to our faith, we will be able to reach the shore of our ideals. Chase the light and escape the darkness. 战略人生 Strategic Life. Xiefeng. Edited by Kayer. Using the best building plan, employing the most advanced machinery, mobilizing the best construction workers, and applying the highest quality materials, such as steel and concrete tiles to build a skyscraper on sand, what will happen? The result will be a crushing failure. Why? Because there was a strategic error. You cannot build a high-rise building on sand, and even if you could and did, a single breeze would collapse it. If it is strategically wrong, any tactical success is equal to zero. As in the example above, the building plan, the advanced machinery, the excellent construction workers, the high-quality materials, and other tactical successes will ultimately have zero value because of the strategic mistake. Strategies are overall planning and designs. Tactics are specific measures to achieve them. If the strategy is wrong, then even the best tactics are ultimately hopeless efforts. Sun Tzu's The Art of War includes strategies and tactics. Life also includes both. The so-called strategic life must grasp and operate life from the macro perspective, or life must first have the right ideal with the right directions and goals. Otherwise, no matter how diligent you are, how hard you try in your lifetime, you will end up fruitless. I once drilled a well in a remote village in the Binga area of Matabeleland in the North Province of Zimbabwe. First, I mobilized all the villagers and built nearly 10 kilometers of road, and we cut down the trees that blocked the vehicles along both sides of the road. Then trucks loaded with the drill and other materials and workers entered the construction site in a formidable array. Hundreds of villagers cheered like thunder and supported us with great enthusiasm. After 2 days of drilling down to a depth of 90 meters, not a single drop of water had been found. The drilling failed. After having taken so much labor and having invested so much money, the result in the end was zero. Why was that? The reason lies not in tactics, but in strategy. In other words, the drilling point designated by the geologic and hydrographic staff was dry. In a spot with no water, no matter how many human and financial resources you invest, or how excellent the drilling experts you have mobilized are, you will never drill out water. While taking a course in marketing, an American professor told us the story of an American shoe factory that wanted to set up a branch in Africa. So they sent 2 market researchers to Africa to make a survey of the shoe market. One researcher came back and reported pessimistically that there was no market for shoes in Africa because African people did not wear shoes. Another researcher came back and reported optimistically that a huge market for shoes existed in Africa because none of the African people were wearing shoes. In this situation, what should the American shoe factory have done? This leads to the strategic issue. If the strategy is correct, then there will eventually be huge profits. But if the strategy is wrong, it will drag the shoe factory down. Most African women do not wear socks, and if someone were to import a container of socks to sell in Africa, he or she would be making a strategic mistake. Recently, I found a pinch of black slags on the white floor tiles in my bathroom. The situation remained the same the next day, even though the gardener cleaned it every day. Today, I bent down and took a closer look. It turned out that dozens of tiny ants were making nests along the edge of the floor tiles against the wall. I felt very sad about this because those ants had made a strategic mistake. The bathroom is very clean, and having a food source would be a big problem. Would it not have been better if the nest had been built in the lawn or under the tree roots in the garden? It might be a good idea to build a gem processing factory in Siberia, Russia, but building a soy sauce factory would be a strategic mistake. Now let us come back to the strategic issues of life. The first strategic issue of life is to give play to your strengths and to do the things that you want to do. If a profession is not right for you, or if it does not make you feel comfortable, then do not force yourself to do it. You would be better off staying idle than forcing yourself to do it because this is a strategic issue. Once you make a strategic mistake, your whole life will be trapped into building castles on sand. Had the Nobel Peace Prize winner, Mother Teresa, not helped the helpless and lonely people, but rather studied radioactive elements like Marie Curie, she might not have accomplished anything at all. Likewise, if Chen Jingrun, who took the math crown pearl by solving the Goldbach conjecture, had been sent to manage the marketing department of an HR firm, it could have ended up in a complete mess. If a person is tone deaf, but wants to learn music or wants to be a singer, then they would be making a strategic mistake of life. I have a distant uncle. He became an apprentice to a carpenter at an early age. 3 years later, he could not even make a chair without help from his master. That is to say, my distant uncle had made a strategic mistake of life. He was not born with the material to be a carpenter. The second strategic issue of life is to comply with time. Sowing in spring, harvesting season in autumn is correct. If you want to act at times inverse of nature, you will be punished by the Tao of heaven. Those who suit their actions to the times are wise. Yiwu people of Zhejiang province, China, are called the Jews of China because they have a shrewd business acumen. However, during the Cultural Revolution, they were often criticized as models of walking on the capitalist road, so their shrewd ability could not be played out. I knew a very talented man who remains in prison after more than 10 years because he was involved in a democracy movement. This was not a bad thing and it was totally above board. So why is he in prison? Because what he did was ill-timed. In other words, he wanted to pick and eat his watermelon before it was ripe, and he made a strategic mistake. The third strategic issue of life is to always place yourself in the right position and not to overstep. If it is your duty, you make sure to be conscientious and earnest to do it well, and never to try to shirk your responsibility. But if it is not within the scope of your duties, keep your mouth shut, do not gossip, and pay no attention, even if the sky falls. What responsibilities do you have as to whether the country rises or falls? You have a responsibility to be a good citizen. According to the teachings of Jesus Christ, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? I have several colleagues who often criticize the decisions of the leadership as well as the work and behavior of other colleagues. Ultimately, they were a nuisance and could not play out their strengths, and so ended up complaining but unfulfilled. An assistant general manager was very talented and could have had broad future prospects, but because he was too critical of the decisions of the general manager, he was soon dismissed. That is to say, a person, no matter how capable they are, must be sure to place themselves in the right position. Every man should confine himself to his own duties, otherwise, it is overstepping. What is the biggest strategic issue in life? Jesus tells us clearly, "For what a man profited, if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul?" That is to say, the greatest strategic issue of life is the issue of the soul. From novels, history, and reality, we learn that many people have lost their souls for money and wealth, many have forfeited their souls for power, and many have lost their souls for fame and lust. These are all strategic mistakes of life. Similarly, many people have forfeited their souls for their families, their ethnic groups, their religious or political parties, or for their countries. These people have also made strategic mistakes of life. Everything is but a game. Only the soul is real. The issue of the soul should always be kept in first place because everything revolves around it. In this way, once the key link is grasped, everything else falls into place. Now, everything is clear and everything else in life is to play the game. You have developed a mind which does not abide in form, sound, smell, taste, touch, and dharma. And the Tathagata comes. That is the life strategy of great wisdom and intelligence. 是我们自己出卖了自己的自由. It was we who sold our own liberty. Xiefeng. July 23, 2017. Translated by Treasure and edited by Care. Liberty is supreme and priceless, and it is the feature of life in heaven and shows the level of a life. The more liberty, the more heavenly. The less the liberty, the more hellish. Liberty, love. For my love I will sacrifice life. Thereto I need. For liberty I will sacrifice my love. Pedify Sandor. Is life so dear, or peace so sweet, as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take. But as for me, give me liberty or give me death. Patrick Henry. Liberty is the greatest wealth in life. Losing it is losing life. Gaining it is gaining life. So, what is liberty? Liberty is the infinite power of a life to use its eyes, ears, nose, body, mind, and tongue while acting with desire but never overstepping it. Seeing what you want is the liberty of your eyes. Hearing what you want is the liberty of your ears. Going where you want and using your hands and feet as you want is the liberty of your body. Saying and thinking what you want is the liberty of your mind, namely the liberty of your spirit and soul. The liberty of your eyes, ears, body, and mind form the liberty of your life. Those who have eyes but are forbidden to see, have ears but are forbidden to hear, have a mouth but are forbidden to speak, have feet but are forbidden to walk, have hands but are forbidden to act, and who want to lead their own lives but are banned from doing so have lives with no liberty. We will not discuss the liberty of gods, Buddha, celestials, saints, devils, monsters, or even plants and animals. We will only talk about that of humans. People have very little liberty. In other words, they rarely keep it in full. Why do we not have liberty? Because we sell it. How do we sell it? It is mainly sold through three channels or aspects. Culture. People sell themselves to traditional cultures. They accept traditional cultural values, such as the belief that people should marry when they grow up, but when they step into marriage, they sell their own liberty. Traditional culture says, never travel far from the company of parents. Then the body has no liberty. Traditional culture says, love your nation and love your people. Come on. They have sold their liberty to their own nation and culture, and so on. Morality. They sell their liberty to their own values and beliefs. Party loyalists and religionists are stark examples. So-called proponents of liberty are actually kidnapped by their morality and sell their liberty to morality. If they sell their liberty to the belief in evolution, then they will not accept the value of creationism. As a result, the survival of the fittest, the law of the jungle, and winners are kings while losers are gangsters becomes their creed of life. It will be hard to avoid the fighting to death, and liberty can't be found anywhere. They need to remember that anyone without liberty is unable to offer it to others, just as the poor cannot bring wealth to others and ugly people cannot bring beauty to others. Mechanism. As long as there are constitutions, laws, regulations, doctrines, disciplines, contracts, and the like which restrict and bind them, people will sell their liberty to that which they set for themselves. Their state is a mechanism. They believe in their state, and they sell their liberty to their country. Marriage families are mechanisms, and as long as they consciously enter into marriage families, it is no doubt that people will sell their own liberty to the marriage family. A contract is a mechanism. When a contract is signed, liberty is sold to the contract. When we do not feel free today, we have to rethink that we have no liberty because we sold it. For that, it is as normal that we have no liberty as if we sell our house and then have nowhere to sleep. That is all our fault, and we have no excuse to complain to others. In addition to the 3 main channels to sell liberty listed above, we also have the following list of small channels through which it is sold. These include jealousy, blaming, comparing, fighting, killing, worry, fear, desire, money, power, fame, lust, and so on. As long as we are infected with any of these negative emotions or inner anxieties, or indulge in any desires, our liberty will be restricted or even lost. For example, if we fear something that restricts our liberty, then we sell our liberty to fear. When a country perpetrates a national terror policy and makes people live in fear from morning till night, then the people's liberty will be deprived completely, and they will have to live a life more like that of a dog than a human. Tracing back to the source, the country might not be bad, but the people have sold their liberty to fear. As more and more citizens of a country become willing to sell their liberty to fear, this terror policy becomes the perfect way for the state to control its people. The bondage of the individual is self-inflicted, and the slavery of all is caused by the collective. If one wants to enjoy liberty from such an environment, there is only one thing to do: escape. Where to go? To a free place. If there is no free place on the earth, escape to heaven. 长不大的婴儿. Infants who never grow up. Xiefeng. January 15, 2006. Translated by Treasure and edited by Care. Everyone has a natural attachment to their mother, and no one wants to leave her swaddling cloth. One can drink their mother's milk and feel safe in her arms, so one would ever want to leave their mother's side. However, those who never leave their mothers will never grow up. So if you are to grow up, you must do so. Of course, I do not mean to leave her physically, but rather to leave her spiritually and psychologically, or you will never grow into maturity. Leaving one's mother is painful, but to not do it is to remain an infant who never grows up. Leaving the mother takes these 4 steps. Cutting the umbilical cord. This step is done right after we leave our mother's body. Weaning. This step is forcefully done when we transition from being babies to becoming children. Cutting loose from home. This step usually happens when we marry. Cutting the emotional attachment. This step is gradual and melts away as our mothers leave the mortal world. This is as natural a process as it is an uncontrollable one, and it describes our growth process. This is not being heartless, it is simply our journey of life. Many people have left their mothers in form, but not in essence. Their mother complex is transformed and demonstrated in other ways. When we were young, we thought that we could not survive without our mothers, and when we grew up, we felt that we could not endure without our states. People all over the world defend their states. National defense is designed to protect the mother state, and so military expenditures on national defense worldwide is alarming. This is an unnecessary waste. If people around the world had no states, civilization could ascend to a much higher level, but people are attached to their mother states, and no one wants to wean. The ideal of the absence of the state is not a fantasy, and if everyone were to become Chanyuan celestials, then states would naturally disappear and they would become historical memories. The more powerful and intrusive that states become, the more contradictions and conflicts that they inflict upon their people, the heavier that the burdens they place upon them always become. Therefore, the absence of the state is the ideal dream of the sages and saints of mankind. The role of religion is in fact the mother's role. The feelings of religious believers to their own religions are actually the subconscious reflections of infants' attachments to their mothers. Pledging to protect their mother is an inherent nature contained within every person. The fanaticism of religious believers is the perfect manifestation of this inherent nature. The greatest creator is not in religion, and this is understood by every follower, so why do they still maintain their religions? Because their followers are unwilling to wean. Maintaining religions is actually a kind of natural complex of maintaining their mothers to infants who have never grown up. As long as we take a rational analysis, we can see that throughout history, much misery and many disasters have been the outgrowths of religions. Religions confused people's minds, paralyzed their instincts, created barriers and shackles to the full display of human nature, and diverted people from the great way and led them astray. If religions are everywhere, then our minds can never be at peace, and disputes will continue. Therefore, the absence of religion is the desired dream of the sages and saints of mankind. Political parties are also umbrellas playing the role of the mother. We have a saying, "back to the arms of the party," which is the best footnote to the meaning of political parties. The reason that people join political parties is to be embraced by others so they can enjoy a steady flow of milk and a sense of safety. Claiming to be serving the people and the nation is but a cover. There are tens of thousands of political parties of various sizes worldwide, but their existence is a sign that people are still savage and ignorant. The power struggles between political parties have always flashed with knives and swords for life and death. Superficially, it is for democracy, but actually it is to inflate their mother complexes. To reach substantive purposes, they resort to various conspiracies in both light and shadow, adding endless suffering and problems to society. So, the absence of all political parties everywhere is the noble ideal of people climbing to the highest realm of life. The other organization, acting in the mother's role, is the family. It is said that the family is the cell of society, but these cells are inherently cancerous and everyone's life troubles and misfortunes stem mainly from them. It is the bane of selfishness, greed, and infinite lust, and if they are not destroyed, the vicious cycles that people endure will never end. Why do people want families? Because people need to get their milk and their sense of security from them. People are reluctant to grow up, and they all hope to cling to their mother's arms forever. States, religions, political parties, and families take on the roles of mothers, and as long as we still cling to them, we can only be described as infants who have never grown up. New era consciousness requires people to step out of infancy because those who cannot think outside the infant's crib have no road to heaven. Before the birth of life genuine, the existence of states, religions, political parties, and families was justified, but now their presence is irrational. Previously, we thought that those who sacrificed for their states, religions, political parties, and brought honors to their ancestors were great and respectable. Now, we know they are pathetic and are infants who have never grown up. 寻找自己的伊甸园 Looking for your own Garden of Eden. Xiefeng. December 1, 2007. Translated by Transin and edited by Care. Even tigers may be teased by dogs when they leave the remote mountains and come to lush and flat areas. Dragons can be duped by shrimp when they are in shallow water. Camels along the coast are harder to ride than donkeys, and domestic captive phoenixes are worse off than chickens. The tiger is the king of the mountains, but tigers can only give play to their power and prestige in the mountains. Once they come down to the plains, a pack of wild dogs will dare to tease them. Dragon are lords of the abyss, but dragons can only summon wind and call for rain in the abyss. If they fall into shallow depressions or ponds, the little shrimp and small fish can dupe them. Camels can only demonstrate their most valuable qualities in deserts, but if one lives along the coast, it would be less useful than a donkey. Phoenixes can roar out songs and show their magnificence in the quiet of plain trees, but if they are unfortunate enough to be kept in cages with feathers falling and listless in form and spirit, then they are worse than chickens. These phenomena suggest such a truth, that all kinds of life can only give full play to themselves and demonstrate their most precious qualities and values when they live in the environments suited to their natures. If they are unfortunate to live in an environment not suited to their own characteristics, not only can they not play out their strengths, but they might even be teased and duped by other creatures around them. I call the environment which best suits one's survival their Garden of Eden. Everyone has their own Garden of Eden, and it is only inside of it that they will live out their elegant demeanor. If you are away from your Garden of Eden, you will be frustrated and have difficult times and even be regarded as a waste or good for nothing by others around you. The white swan was unfortunate to live within flocks of chickens and ducks in the beginning, being laughed at and mocked by them, and was ridiculed as the ugly duckling. The genius painter, Vincent van Gogh, was spiritually enlightened, but had the misfortune to be living in a secular society, So he was unappreciated and taken advantage of all throughout his life and eventually died in poverty and with depression. Zhang Zia, the founding minister of the Zhou dynasty, went to do business, but ended up with losses rather than profits. Chen Jingrun, who took the crown pearl of the Goldbach conjecture, went to the market to buy vegetables and was ridiculed as being a bit silly. One who is kind should not be a commander. If you are kind and soft, then you should never lead an army into battle, for you would never become a general. One who is righteous should not engage in trade. If you have a strong sense of justice and are ready to help the weak, then you should never go into business, for you would never become wealthy. One who is honest should not enter into politics. If you like seeking out the truth from facts and adhering to the truth, then you should never enter politics, for you would never become a senior official. One who has a loving heart should not marry. If you have a loving heart, then you should never marry, for your love would be tied up and unable to shine with brilliance. One who has a noble soul should not mingle in the secular world. If you have a graceful heart, then you should never mingle in the secular world, for you would be regarded as silly and your beauty would go unappreciated. One who is unsophisticated should not engage in writing. If you are honest and simple, then you should never engage in writing, for your articles would not possess literary elegance and would likely invite scorn and ridicule. One of integrity should not engage in the art of war. If you advocate honesty and hate cheating, then you should never go into a war to confront others, for the art of war is full of tricks. Confronting others, whether civil or military, is all about tactics and tricks, so you would be doomed to lose. If you want to make your life happy, joyful, free, and blessed, if you want to play to your strengths and expertise, if you want to stand out and rank high, and if you want to climb to the highest realm of life and life, then you must find your own Garden of Eden. If you come from the 1,000-year world or the 10,000-year world of heaven, then you must not envy the world's high positions and great wealth and not waste your time trying to get your ideal life from the mortal world, because its soil is not suitable for you to grow in, bloom, and bear fruit. Your Garden of Eden is in heaven, not in the mortal world. Seek out those people who appreciate you, are nice to you, and who like you, but do not try to change anyone, especially those whose ideas and views are always against yours. A leopard cannot change its spots. One cannot change one's essential nature. To those people who have different frequencies of mind and consciousness, no matter how impressively you sing their praises, how you comfort them, how you attempt to persuade them, they will never appreciate your feelings or understand your intentions. Even if you open your heart to them, they will still be indifferent and persist in their old ways. When you find your Garden of Eden, you should cherish it. Never take for granted that you can do anything and give up your Garden of Eden. There was a division commander who battled like a fish in water and was very capable when he was in the army, but he grew proud and conceited and thought he would be capable in any environment. So he left the army and entered into civil administration. There, he expected to play a great role, yet after years of rushing about, he suffered setbacks everywhere and could not achieve anything. The hero in the army became good for nothing. Look for your own Garden of Eden. I hope that everyone will find their own Garden of Eden. Abandonment is an achievement. Xiefeng. Translated by Treasure and edited by Care. Abandonment is an achievement. Xinding Celestial. It seems that abandonment is an achievement is a contradiction, but it is actually great wisdom, though beyond the ordinary people's comprehension and imagination. It embodies an ingenious realm, a boldness of vision that looks far ahead and aims high above the common and vulgar, a tactical strategy to have the situation well in hand, with great will to reach the top. The more you possess, the more trouble you have. It seems that will be much easier to abandon something at the proper time. If we constantly pursue possessions but refuse to ever abandon them, those possessions will become burdens and encumbrances. One who wishes to take a long trek to appreciate the attraction of distant scenery must take very little luggage, for the more they take, the more tired they will become, the slower their journey will go, and the less likely they will be to reach their destination. Life is but a journey which life travels through in the mortal world. The destination of the journey depends entirely on how far we travel during our lifetime. Those who possess too much in the mortal world will not be able to reach a more wonderful place. If they cannot abandon their possessions, they will only continue marking time with the samsara of the mortal world. If we hold fast to something, we cannot grasp anything else with our hands. If a room is filled with clutter, it is hard to add shiny, new appliances. If our minds are full of wants and desires, our spirits will be so exhausted that we will find it impossible to appreciate a new realm with dense willows and bright flowers or reach a spiritually pure land. Therefore, abandonment is an achievement. To abandon the past is to achieve the future. Abandoning a profession frees us to engage in another one. It is only by abandoning private ownership that we can achieve public ownership or even non-ownership. Only by abandoning being a human that we can achieve being a celestial being or Buddha. Only by abandoning the mortal world can we reach the fairyland. Only by abandoning the traditional family that we can enter the new oasis for life, and only by abandoning the state that we can enter the great unity. Abandon, abandon, abandon. Open a door and others will close automatically, but close a door and others will open automatically. As with a woman, when single, men will flock to her actively, but once she becomes engaged or married, they will stay away from her. Shinding Celestial's full quote was, "People say that it is tiring to live. Why might life be tiring? Because they are unwilling to abandon, and they always want more. Having obtained wealth, they still want reputation, fame, and status. Not realizing that the more they possess, the heavier their burden becomes, they will get more and more exhausted throughout their journey of life. Actually, abandonment is an achievement. Anyone who wants to lead a relaxed and free life in the mortal world must learn to abandon. Only continual abandonment will lead to continual transcendence. What should we abandon as people? That depends on where we want to go. If we want to go to hell, of course we should abandon sincerity, kindness, and beauty, so that we can gain falsity, wickedness, and ugliness. Only by breaking through the moral bottom line can we revel in evil of every kind. Only by abandoning love can hatred sprout, grow, blossom, and bear spiritual fruit. Only by abandoning faith and honesty can we be petty men. Only by abandoning hope can we get despair. Only by abandoning sublimation can we ensure that we will continue the samsara in the mortal world, struggling in a boundless sea of bitterness. So, abandonment is achievement. Generally, my purpose is to lead mankind into the Life-Changyuan era. To learn about the identifying brands of the Life-Changyuan era, refer to my 800 Values for New Era Human Being, which describes the Life-Changyuan era with specific details. For individuals, I am here to guide people to the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Islands continent. For this, I need people to abandon states, religions, political parties, and family lives. Only by abandoning these 4 items can we achieve happy, joyous, free, and blessed lives which are characterized thusly. The talented will be put to good use, and the whole world will be one family. No one would pocket anything found on the ground, and doors are not bolted at night. To unify all thoughts and all beliefs into the greatest Creator's will, and all religions into one uniform belief system. Everything will be in complete harmony and everyone will be happy. As for the individuals, people need to abandon these nine things: marriage, traditional families, states, religions, political parties,